As we enter the final weekend of the regular season, the race for the number 2 spot in the West intensifies as the Wareham Gatemen meet the Cotuit Kettleers for the final time in the regular season. Welcome back to the Kettleers pregame show, everyone. Tim Crowley joined by Chris and Steph Carey. And lately, the Kettleers have had a lot of success against the team that they'll welcome to Lowell Park on Friday night and look to do some huge damage to the Gatemen's playoff hopes tonight.
Well, this is a critical three-game stretch for the Kettleers. A game tonight against the Gatemen and then 2 straight games against the Commodores. I think you need to go 2 out of 3 if you really want to have a realistic shot at the playoffs. But this game might be the biggest game yet for Cotuit. So the mission's simple: win.
Huge weekend ahead against your competitors for the number 2 spot in the West. Let's dive into this pitching matchup tonight. We'll start with the team from over the bridge. It's going to be Paul Skeens out of Air Force.
The returning man in 2021 with Wareham, he's 0-0 with a 4.5 ERA, 6 innings pitched, 10 strikeouts and 2 walks. He went 1-1 at Air Force with a 2.70 ERA and 26 2/3 innings pitched, 30 strikeouts, big right-hander, probably an opener for the Gatemen today, and then they'll turn it over to some of their relievers.
When Cotuit's starter got here all the way back just a few weeks ago in July, it was games like these that they knew he would be able to start. After coming off of a College World Series run with Stanford, it's Quinn Matthews getting back in the thick of a pennant race when he starts against the Gatemen tonight.
Well, Wareham is going with essentially a bat that can pitch. Quinn Matthews, not that. He is a pure pitcher. 0-0, 1.59 ERA over 11 1/3 innings pitched. I mean, just excellent work so far since that debut against Falmouth. Tonight, he has the Gatemen, and the Kettleers need a win, and a big performance from him tonight.
Cotuit trying to make it 4-1-1 against the Gatemen this season and try to knock off a huge competitor in the West.
Two wins in a row for the Kettleers, a day off, and now we're back at Lowell Park where there's only one goal for Cotuit, and it is to win against the Wareham Gatemen. They've won 3 times this season by a record of 3-1-1. Welcome inside Chris Carey and Stephen Carey for the Cotuit Kettleers Digital Network for a very special game as we look on right now to see Peter Flaherty getting honored. The GM intern for the Kettleers over many years. He is being honored by Terry Moran and Coach Mike Roberts for his amazing and outstanding contributions to the team over the last few years.
And I mean, what a story. Peter's been with this organization for years. No one more deserving of this honor on his 23rd birthday. So happy birthday to Peter, one of the best people in the entire league. And none of this show happens without Peter Flaherty's assistance and his eye for talent. The Kettleers certainly wouldn't be in second place right now if it weren't for Peter's say, and maybe sometimes Peter's lack of say, is just the reason why we are in second place. He is going to do incredible things somewhere someday, and I cannot wait to see where his life takes him.
My final sentiments, Peter, you've been such an instrumental part in the intern group with the team, as you see them honoring him now, the standing ovation, and it is truly 100% deserved by our own Peter Flaherty, who has done so much during the offseason, so much to put this team and so many championship caliber teams together for the Cotuit Kettleers. And in a very, very few couple of years, we could see him as a general manager of a major league team.
Well, whatever that major league team is, you could see me at Vegas betting on their chances in the World Series. He's going to do some big things in this world. But today, hopefully, he can help his boys and rally them against the Wareham Gatemen in the most important game of the season, Chris.
It seems at every point now, each game is the most important game of the season for the Kettleers, but I totally agree. Wareham, this is a win-or-go-home situation, most likely, as we talk to Jack Sedegan and Nick Magas of the Wareham Gatemen broadcast crew. As we see the Kettleers take the field, starting lineup for the Gatemen, batting first and playing center field, Tres Gonzalez, followed by Jim Jarvis, the shortstop. Tommy Troy will bat third and play second base. Jimmy Crooks behind the plate and cleaning up. Cameron James over the hot corner and batting fifth. Owen Diodati, who's cooled down a bit, batting sixth and playing in left field. Kellum Clark over at first base and batting seventh. Jack Brannigan, the DH, will bat eighth. And rounding out the order is Cade Kern, the right fielder out of Ohio State. Now we'll take a look at the Kettleers' defense from left to right, and not too many changes here from the last couple of games. Matt Suggs in left, Jace Grady in center, Noah Bridges in right, Carter Trice at third, Ryan Ritter stomping around at shortstop, Eric Brown at second base, and Nathan Martorella over at first. Behind the plate, Matt Donlin, and a very talented left-handed pitcher in Quinn Matthews on the mound for the Kettleers, trying to get even closer to securing that number 2 spot in the CCBL West.
Well, and he's trying to secure his first win. A couple of no decisions in the 3 games played and started that he's appeared in. 1.58 ERA, 16 strikeouts, and 9 walks. Now, the 9 walks, that's the number you have to watch out for. Usually he's gotten himself into a little bit of trouble in the early parts of the inning, in the first, I should say, but he's gotten himself out of jams. He has been a very effective pitcher under pressure, but you don't want to have any pressure in a game like this. You do not want to let the Gatemen capitalize, and, we said it. Winning 2 out of the next 3 is pretty important for the Kettleers with Falmouth coming up, the number 1 threat to that second place spot for the Kettleers.
So we await Tres Gonzalez out of Georgia Tech, and he has been the best player for the Wareham Gatemen over the last couple of games. This season batting at an astounding .340 average, which is third on the CCBL batting average list, with 36 hits and 10 RBIs. So he stands in from the left side. He has a .667 average over the last 3 games that he's played in the CCBL, and the Gatemen couldn't be happier with his performance thus far. First pitch is inside, and the game is underway. It's 1-0.
So Matthews just needs to throw strikes, force the Gatemen to beat him. Don't want to get behind the count early.
They'll say he didn't go around. Good enough time as any. Jeff Merzel behind the plate, Joe Hilton at first, and Pat Sparky Burns, as I coined the electrical fire, over at third base. The 2-0 pitch. Gonzalez fouls it back. So this Wareham team has had a little bit of trouble. They're entering this game at 11-16-5. Cotuit 14-16-1. This Wareham team has played 32 games as compared to Cotuit's 31. So that one extra game has caused a lot of problems for the Gatemen trying to contend for that second place spot. As Gonzalez fouls it away, it's 2-2.
Well, this top part of the order is as dangerous as anybody in the West. With Tres Gonzalez and then Jim Jarvis coming up next. If Gonzalez can get aboard a couple times in this game, turn it over to the middle part of your order is going to be very effective.
Light chopper, tough play for Eric Brown, gloves it and uses his glove to flip it over to Nathan Martorella. Eric Brown makes difficult plays look easy. We've seen it all season long, and the range at second base just continues to show here at Lowell Park.
Quinn Matthews dropping in breaking balls. It didn't look too effective during his warm-ups, but then gets Tres Gonzalez to get over the top of one right at Eric Brown. He's going to make that play 10 times out of 10.
Troy tries to lay down a bunt. Instead, it goes all the way over the netting. And a fan makes a catch. Excuse me, that's Jim Jarvis out of Alabama. Very talented player as well. The shortstop batting .259 with 28 hits, 2 home runs, and 16 RBIs. And right here you'll see he's behind 2 strikes, and he employs a different tactic at 2 strikes. He'll choke up 4 or 5 inches on the baseball bat and get very low in his stance to try and create a contact approach at 2 strikes.
Probably the most patient hitter I think we've seen.
0-2, and he gets rung up on the outside. He can't believe it. There's the first strikeout for Quinn Matthews today. 2 quick outs brings up Tommy Troy.
And it is very rare that you're going to strike out a guy like Jim Jarvis looking. He goes down with a fight. You mentioned that tactic where he chokes up on the bat, tries to shorten up and just draw light contact, work his way back into the count. But Matthews says no, sir, and walks him back to the dugout.
First pitch to Troy, fouled away. 0-1.
And this may be the most smooth sailing that we've seen from Quinn Matthews in the first inning of a game this entire season. Now, can he manage to keep it up? That's the real question. Can he go the amount of innings that the Kettleers need? Now, here's the thing. Bullpen has had some rest, so that's not really a big concern, but you want to make him go as far as you can make him go. If he can go 5, maybe 6, that's asking a lot for anybody in the CCBL. You save your arms for Falmouth, which is really the games that the Kettleers have their eyes on. Not to say they need to overlook Wareham by any means, but you have to understand that Falmouth is the number 1 threat to that number 2 spot.
Troy behind 0-2. Matthews leaves it up. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And Troy is the first right-handed hitter that Quinn Matthews will face this game. No slouch either. .292 with 28 hits, 2 home runs, and 13 batted in. 1-2 pitch, ground ball to Ritter. To his left, high throw, but Martorella is able to stay on the bag. And a 1-2-3 inning for Matthews brings the Kettleers up in the bottom of the first. The Gatemen went down quickly in the top of the first. Now we're at the bottom half, where we'll look at Wareham's defensive alignment. Owen Diodati in left, Tres Gonzalez in right, Cade Kern in right, Tres Gonzalez in center field. Cameron James at third, Jim Jarvis at shortstop, Tommy Troy at second base, and Kellum Clark at first. Behind the plate, Jimmy Crooks, and a familiar face that has returned to wear the Gatemen's Navy colors, and Paul Skeens, tall right-hander out of the Air Force Academy, 6'6", 245 pounds. 0-0 with a 4.5 ERA, 4 games played, 1 started, with 2 walks, 7 hits, and 10 strikeouts, and only 6 innings pitched. He's expected to be an opener for the Gatemen today. He's also known as a bat for Wareham and the Air Force Academy.
Yeah, one of the big power bats that was anticipated at the beginning of the season, but recently he hasn't been a hitter. He's had 1 game since his return from Team USA where he DH'd, but primarily a pitcher, and I think that's kind of the role they need him in right now. They're pretty stacked offensively, but hopefully for the Gatemen, he can go a couple of innings and fire in strikes, not let this Kettleers offense that's really swinging very well tack on too many runs early.
So we'll see what Skeens has to offer. The left-handed hitting Jace Grady on the first pitch. It's fouled away. Grady this season batting .259 with 14 hits, 2 home runs, and 7 RBIs. And if there were any doubts before, Grady has cemented himself in the leadoff spot for Cotuit offensively. Up the middle, and he does it again. Leadoff base hit for Jace Grady, and that's how the Kettleers start the first.
You wonder why he is your prototypical perfect leadoff man. It's things like that. He gets aboard, and he gets aboard early. The best possible situation for the Kettleers is put as many men on base for either Ritter or Eric Brown coming up in the 3 and 4 spots. Grady now can effectively try and take second base, put himself into scoring position. Not the best start for the day for Skeens, but good start for the Kettleers bats.
And another hot bat in Carter Trice. First pitch to him is off the plate. Trice this season finding his way over at third base, a typical second baseman for Old Dominion. Now batting at a clip of .296 with 8 hits, a home run, and 3 batted in. And that's credit to the very hot streak over the last 5 games that he's played in. Similarly to Ryan Ritter. His next pitch runs inside, but is fouled away.
Well, it took him a little while to get adjusted, but since really the last couple of games, he's locked in. And you know he's playing well when you look down at the stat sheet and you're saying, wow, he's hitting 300. He's doing it under the radar. You see him get a couple of hits, he'll get an RBI, but it just has become who Carter Trice is as a player. He's going to get on board. He's going to get you hits if you need him.
Trice in the last game played did not get a hit, but reached on a fielder's choice play and then later scored in the first inning. That was one of the 2 runs scored against Hyannis. All 3 runs from both teams were scored in the first, and then it was all zeros the rest of the way as Trice fouls it away again. That was a big changing moment for Cotuit after they lost at McKeon Park 15-5. You didn't know what Hyannis team was going to show up, and to their credit, they competed against a Cotuit team that we did not know was going to be able to handle the Harbor Hawks after that big win.
Well, Kettleers ran into Hyannis at a time where their offense was averaging 12 runs a game.
Trice stays choked up and lets the ball pass him by. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
It's weird because Kettleers get creamed by Hyannis. Then they go and they beat up on the best team in the league. So really down the stretch, it's been said since the beginning of the year, and it's tough to believe, anything can happen in these last few weeks of the season. The Kettleers are certainly making the most of their opportunities with that second place spot up for grabs.
2-2. Good at-bat here from Carter Trice working against Skeens. And like we mentioned before, there's a possibility that Skeens is only going to go 1 to 2, maybe even 3 innings as an opener for the next reliever. The more pitches you get him to throw now, the more exhausted he will be. The more decisions Jerry Weinstein will have to make for the Wareham Gatemen. 2-2 to Trice. It runs way inside. Now the count is full at 3-2. Number 8 will have to protect the plate. Has a big gap between first and second if he wants to use it. Kettleers in their red uniforms for the Red Fridays. There's a swing and a miss. Grady's going. The throw down to second base will not be in time. And though there's a strikeout, Jace Grady puts himself in scoring position with another stolen base.
That's a very aggressive call. High fastball works on Trice. Foul tipped into the glove of Crooks. And if you're going to run on anybody, you're not going to want to run on Jimmy Crooks. But I think they called him out, actually.
Well, he was very clearly safe. There was no tag applied by Tommy Troy, but nonetheless, it looks like Jace Grady is out. Maybe he slid off of the bag and then the tag was applied late. So Jimmy Crooks, I guess, nabbed another runner. That's why you don't run on number 8, because you just never know what's going to happen.
Well, in the last 2 games against these 2 teams, he's nabbed Ryan Ritter, Eric Brown, and now Jace Grady. Those are Brett Roberts, Eric Brown, and Jace Grady. 3 of the fastest players on this team. And he's done it with relative ease. It's very difficult to have a pitch foul tipped into your glove and then throw somebody out. Just as a catcher, Jimmy Crooks is impressing.
1-1 to Ritter, chopped foul. When we talk about players that have started to heat up, this guy has stayed incredibly hot over the last few games. 297 with 22 hits, a home run, and 4 RBIs. That's 8th on the CCBL average list. And no discount to Ryan Ritter, but if you had told me 2 weeks ago that Ryan Ritter would be 8th in the CCBL in batting average, I probably wouldn't have believed you.
I definitely wouldn't have believed you, but you see the intensity that he's bringing in before every single game. I ask him if he's ready, just scowls and is like, this is my job. So he knows how big these moments are for the Kettleers. He's locked in, laser focused at every at-bat, and he's pretty much good for a hit or two every single game now. And now that that's the expectation, he just has to continue to keep putting it in motion.
The 2-2 pitch. Ritter chopped up the middle over Skeens' head. Tough play for Troy. Bare hands it. It's a high throw. Will it be a hit? We'll see how they score it. Yes. I believe it will be a hit.
I believe so too. That is, again, he's good for hits. He'll get you on base, and then now you let Eric Brown Jr. come up to the plate again. And he has done so much damage. 6 runs batted in over the last 2 games. Ideally, you'd want somebody in scoring position because that's almost an automatic hit for number 2 of late, but extend the inning. Force Skeens to make a mistake here.
First pitch to Eric Brown. Taken for a strike. He's not going to pull the trigger on the first pitch very often. That's not how he plays. You talk about Eric Brown. 2 days ago when we played Hyannis, he was a part of the 2 most important plays of the game. He drove in the tying run and then scored the winning run in the first inning. Hard to believe you say you scored the winning run in the first inning, but it happened. The 0-1 comes in. Brown turns on it and lifts it a mile foul. It's 0-2.
In on the hands. Took a little off there. You could tell Brown just wanted to rope one out into left field. Left fielder playing well off the line, so if he can manage to pull one, could be extra bases, if not a triple for Eric Brown.
Do you imagine what that would have looked like if he wasn't early on the swing?
Would have been a moon blast out to his comrades out in the bullpen.
So EBJ behind 0-2 with Ritter at first base. A strange inning to start the Kettleers' offensive day. See if Eric Brown can extend it. Pitch stays away, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Jimmy Crooks, again, just brings so much to this Wareham Gatemen defense. Pitch to the outside like that, he doesn't hesitate throwing over to first. Can turn a negative situation into a positive right there. A pitch that's way out of the zone, but a fastball. Crooks looks at it as, hey, maybe this is an opportunity to have a window to maybe catch Ryan Ritter straying off the bag over at first.
1-2 to Brown. Fouled away. He'll see another pitch. You know, I've said this a lot, but I like these Cape Cod uniforms that teams wear on their home Friday games. Especially love it when the Kettleers wear them. As Eric Brown has a 1-2 count. 247 this season with 24 hits, 3 home runs, and 14 RBIs. The 1-2 from Skeens stays up, and the patient hitter draws it even.
You mentioned these jerseys, Chris. It's funny because it felt like we were already 3/4 of the way through the season without playing a home game on a Friday. So these jerseys have only been worn a couple of times, but it feels like the last couple of Fridays have all been home games.
And now the count is full again. Kettleers would like to keep working Paul Skeens in the bottom of the first inning. Keep the good times rolling. Already 2 hits, but just a runner on first after Jace Grady was Guess you could say caught stealing by Jimmy Crooks, which has been a common trend so far. 3-2 pitch, lined up the middle. Ryan Ritter was running ahead. He'll head to third base, and now runners are on the corners. Eric Brown, a great 2-out hit.
Pretty piece of hitting. Skeens left one over the middle. Tried that elevated fastball again, just left it right at the waist of Eric Brown. And 2-out rallies, the Kettleers have been known to do this. They do not give up when they're 2 out. They continue to fight, continue to scrap, as Peter Flaherty would call it. This is a team of scrappy guys. Another one that's coming to mind, Noah Bridges. Been good with runners in scoring position this season.
So Noah Bridges, 233, 7 hits, 6 RBIs, looking for more. So he jumps all over the first pitch, but it'll get out of play. Bridges is such an interesting player to watch because when he came here from UNC Wilmington, he was essentially a contact slap hitter for his college club. And then Coach Roberts said, no, we're going to create a power hitter in you. Bridges has turned himself into that and more with just a few simple adjustments as he's behind 0-1. The 0-1 pitch, Brown's going to go. Jimmy Crooks will not make a throw, and now both runners are in scoring position.
That's a pretty good call there by Jimmy Crooks not to throw the baseball. Nobody was home covering. Eric Brown got a pretty good jump on the pitch. It was a little outside. That's a win-win for the Kettleers. Off the plate, evens up the count. 2 runners in scoring position. A single more than likely scores 2.
Ground ball, past the diving glove of Clark. Ritter's going to come in to score. They're waving Brown. It's 2-0. Noah Bridges delivers, and the Kettleers are in front in the first.
Well, and we've talked about Noah Bridges and what he brings to the table. This is one of those qualities. He gets you hits when you need them. 7 and 8 on the season for RBIs. And the play works perfectly for the Kettleers. You steal Eric Brown. You run the risk of having him get thrown out by Crooks. Crooks decides not to pull the trigger. Next pitch. Finds a hole on the right side, scores 2.
First pitch to B-Rob is away. That is 4 hits given up in this inning alone by Paul Skeens. We were wondering why he was going to start for the Gatemen. Is it a depleted starting pitching staff for Wareham? I know we've had our troubles as well as the season has progressed. As Roberts fouls it away, 1 ball and a strike.
And you have to think a lot of it is teams are losing guys to the draft. Teams are having pitchers hit their innings limits. Skeens is an opener. If you have an opener, you want them to be able to get through their 2, maybe 3 innings of work without any damage. But now the Kettleers have jumped out in front early, and we know how good they've been when they've done that this season. This is a team that's looking very good offensively, despite losing their biggest offensive weapon in Luke Gold for an indefinite amount of time.
And now Skeens will get called for a balk. He is having a rough start to his outing. And I'm wondering if they're going to go to the bullpen here. Doesn't look like any indication. As Bridges is now at second base. This is not the start the Gatemen need to keep their season going, as they want to be a playoff team. Consider their performance last game where they played Brewster. The Whitecaps picked up their 19th win of the season after defeating the Gatemen 5-3 at Spillane Field. And that was after a 3-0 deficit. In the 8th inning, Brewster was able to score 5 runs in the top half of the 8th. So a ball and a strike for Brett Roberts. Noah Bridges at second base. Next pitch from Skeens, a fastball in at 93, a ball and 2 strikes. Just needs one more to get out of it. B-Rob at 250 has 2 home runs and 10 RBIs. Somebody that has thrived when he's been in the lineup every day as he pokes the bat head out and fouls it away.
Good defensive swing, and if you think about these 2 runs coming across, that serves multiple purposes. Kettleers have the lead. You give Quinn Matthews a little bit of cushion, and he's settled in really well when he's had a lead. That's still very early, and you don't want to get all your offensive juices out of the way in the first inning like they did against Hyannis just a few games ago, or should I say last game, a few days ago. But you also want to score when you have the opportunities, and that's exactly what they've done so far. 3 straight singles for this inning. If they make it 4, it's probably going to be 3-0 here really quickly.
2-2, chopped foul. Roberts also trying to work Paul Skeens. Somebody that doesn't like to get deep in the count. He's typically a first pitch swing, seeing about 3 pitches, and likes to get on base. 2-2. Did he go around? The appeal to first will not be made. It's 3 balls and 2 strikes. Skeens has already allowed 4 hits in this inning, 2 runs scored. 3-2 pitch. There's his first walk.
Once again with 2 outs, the Kettleers are capitalizing just by being patient. Nathan Martorella looking for his big moment at the plate this season. He's done really good work walking, getting aboard, but only just 6 runs batted in. His numbers as one of these big power hitters for this team should be jumping off the page, and here's another opportunity for him to do that.
There's a first pitch strike. 0-1 against Martorella, who's also batting .250 with 13 hits and 6 runs batted in. Up and away, and that is what Martorella gives you. When he is in the batter's box, he will not let the pitcher cheat him and will only take strikes over the strike zone. Very good eye. 1-1. Popped up. Troy, now Jarvis will make the catch for the 3rd out. 2 runs come in to score off the bat of Noah Bridges. The Kettleers lead 2-0 headed into the 2nd. Top of the 2nd inning for the Cotuit Kettleers Digital Network. Chris Carey and Stephen Carey. Quinn Matthews now has 2 runs to play with after Ritter and Brown came in to score off of an RBI single from Noah Bridges past the diving glove of Kellum Clark at first base. First pitch to Jimmy Crooks is lifted shallow left field. Ritter calling off and making the play.
So the big takeaway so far for Matthews, light contact, starts off the game, ground ball strikeout looking, ground ball pop out to the shortstop. And that's all you can ask for out of him. Just good performance, hitting his spots, letting your defense do the rest. But again, you have to continue it. It has to be a sustainable process for the starter. Right now, doesn't seem to have any signs of slowing down.
There's a first pitch strike to Cameron James, who's batting .178 with 8 hits, 2 home runs, and 7 RBIs. To Mississippi State, 1 ball and 1 strike now.
Kind of the general feeling for Wareham is that they need to win this game. And if they don't win the game, their hopes of playoff contention have dropped exponentially.
I would say so as well, but I think that is the general idea among the 3 teams trying to contend for that number 2 spot. As the 2-1 comes in to Cameron James, and he is way out in front on that breaking ball.
Yeah, Matthews fooled him right there. Looked like he was sitting on a fastball and drops 80 miles an hour at the bottom of the zone.
It looked like he started early, stopped, and then started swinging again as the pitch dropped back in. As James chops it over to Ryan Ritter. On the run, the throw is high again, but Martorella stabs it in the air for the second out of the inning.
Once again, more ground ball contact. If you can hit it to essentially the black hole that is Eric Brown and Ryan Ritter, they will make every single play. They are so lethal defensively at the middle infield spots. Test your luck with Martorella and Trice, but try not to hit it towards the middle of the field. And that's so opposite of what everything hitters are taught. You want to hit it up the middle because you're timing it the best you can. But with 2 studs defensively, like Ritter and Brown over at second base, it's really hard to get on base.
Alabama's Owen Diodati is now up. He's down 0-2. Product of the Crimson Tide is wishing that the tide would turn at the plate for him as he started the season red hot. Now is batting only at .242. Now remember, this guy was the Cape League Offensive Player of the Week in the first week played. So that's chopped up the middle. Tough play for Eric Brown at the backhand, bobbles it in and out of his glove, and he's hobbling. He awkwardly landed on that foot. It looks like he's jogging it off, but that has to be a base hit for Diodati. And it is. It's his 30th hit for the Gatemen.
That's the first hit allowed by Matthews. And we've called Eric Brown the Gatemen killer. Almost the same can be said about Diodati against the Kettleers. Now, Wareham 3-1-1 behind in the series. Kettleers have won 3 games, lost 1, and tied the most recent matchup between these 2 teams. But Diodati in those games has had plenty of success at the plate. There's not a lot of teams that he hasn't had a lot of success at the plate for. Kind of their do-it-all guy.
Kellum Clark is now up. And a beautiful breaking ball falls in for a strike 0-1. And Stefan, something that has surprised me about this lineup is how many left-handed hitters have been plugged in against Quinn Matthews. You have Tres Gonzalez, Jim Jarvis, Jimmy Crooks, Owen Diodati, and now Kellum Clark, all batting from the left side.
Well, I think these are just the guys. The bats that have been playing consistently. Doesn't seem like they're too concerned about matchups. They know that you want to get your batters into a bit of a groove because the Kettleers are going to have to use their bullpen at some point today, and that's when the Gatemen intend to strike. Starting pitching has been very good versus the Gatemen so far this season.
1-1, another breaking ball, and a big swing and miss from Clark. Both Mississippi State players are batting sub-200. Clark, 184 with 9 hits and 3 RBIs.
Well, you call that the national championship slump, right? You reach the pinnacle of the college baseball season, then you come to the Cape League and you're right back to it. So you have to give these guys a little bit of credit, right? They had much less time to prepare. Now, if you take into consideration playing in the College World Series, yes, but you're playing with metal bats. You're playing against pitchers you've probably faced a couple of times during the season anyway. Then you come and play a bunch of unknowns for every single team.
1-2 to Clark, and he fouls it away. And another point to be made about the college season that's so different, it isn't every single day. There are some midweek series you have a couple of days off, and then you go into the weekend series. This is every single day. You decide and figure out what players can compete at a high level every day. And some will surprise you. As the 1-2 comes in for Matthews, it's fouled away again. That's why scouts are still here. They're wondering who is able to be consistent enough to play every day, because, at times when you're not playing, we've seen it with our team. When Ryan Ritter's been off the bench, he hasn't been as consistent. He hasn't been as solid. When he plays every day, you get now a 300 hitter.
Nathan Martorell is another name that comes to mind in that group as well. You just want to get your guys consistent at bats against Cape League pitching, because this is the cream of the crop, right? The best pitchers, the best players pretty much from across the country. And it's one thing to face an SEC opponent that you've seen 3 times this year, but it's another to face a guy that maybe you've never anticipated playing against.
1-2 for Matthews. Did he go around? They will say he did. There's Quinn Matthews' second strikeout. He gets out of the second inning and turns it over to his offense on the Cotuit Kettleers digital network. Matt Suggs, Matt Donlin, and Jace Grady due up for the Kettleers, who lead 2-0 against Paul Skeens and the Wareham Gatemen in a must-win game here in the CCBL with 6 games, including this one, left to play. And Suggs this season batting at a 91 clip with 2 hits and RBI in 22 at-bats.
Well, I was having a conversation with Peter Flaherty, who is the scout liaison, and of course is celebrating his 23rd birthday today. He said any combination of 2 wins for the Kettleers over this next week, and wins of high importance, games against Falmouth and Bourne, are going to propel the Kettleers into the playoffs. Now, if they can't manage to win those games against Falmouth and Bourne, it's going to be very difficult, especially now that you're throwing your 3 best arms on 3 straight days.
2-1 to Suggs, and he fouls it away. Count is even at 2-2, and I think you make a great point. We run into the Commodores twice in a home-and-home tomorrow and Sunday, one being the Cape League Game of the Week on WEEI with John Garner and Larry Egan. Those 2 games are very important. If we could take one at Gov Fuller Field, it will be much more comfortable as we turn it over to Lowell Park on Sunday. One of the final games this season at Lowell. If the season isn't extended, as Suggs lifts that into left field, the liner is caught by Diodati. And number 16 gave it a ride. It just couldn't find some green grass. 1 is down in the bottom of the second.
We always like to see the positives on this broadcast. First real piece of solid contact that we've seen off the bat of Matt Suggs really all season. Only 2 hits so far. He has not been super effective at the plate, but he's filling a need out in left field. Now, you talk about those games. The game coming back to Lowell on Sunday. You have to win one of the games against Falmouth. pretty much must-win games. The two biggest games this season, we keep saying that with every game that comes across, but the two games against Falmouth are of paramount importance. You play Falmouth, the team that is attacking you in the second place spot. If you manage to knock off Wareham here, that's fine and dandy, but Falmouth is playing Hyannis today, the worst team in the league statistically.
It's 1-1 for Donlan, who's batting 180 with 9 hits and 3 batted in. He lines that in between Jarvis and James, and another base hit, number 10 for Donlan, with 1 out in the second.
And how good is it to see him heating up at the plate as an option behind the plate and now as a hitter? He has struggled so much all season, but now that he's been the guy, he doesn't have to share time with Ben Rice, doesn't have to share time with Matt Suggs. He's getting comfortable. He's getting underneath the ball, and not so far underneath the ball that pop-ups are still a concern. If he can continue to move forward, drop the head of the bat, and line balls out to the outfield, he is going to be one of the better options at the bottom part of this order for the Kettleers.
Looks like Jace Grady went around on that pitch. It's 0-1. And speaking of hits, he started off the party in the first with a leadoff base hit. I feel like we say that every game now here at Lowell Park. Pure leadoff center fielder from Dallas Baptist. Switch hitter as well. Nice luxury to have later in this season.
Feels like Dallas Baptist is the only school in Texas that isn't trying to be in the SEC.
As that pitch runs in, it's 1-1. And we've mentioned this time and time again. He is the first pure center fielder that the Kettleers have had since they lost John Rhodes to the draft. And congratulations to John, a few days ago, signed with the Baltimore Orioles. So he will start his professional career with an American League East team. This is now 2-1 to Grady.
That's always a big conversation, too, for drafted guys. Do you want to go to an organization that has known a ton of success and is stacked from top to bottom with players, or do you want to go to a team that's in a huge rebuild, like the Baltimore Orioles, like the Miami Marlins, like the Kansas City Royals, where maybe you're going to shoot straight through the minor leagues and get onto a major league diamond quicker than, say, you would if you were on the Yankees or the Dodgers?
And a lot of these Kettleers players and this team in general is in the position that they're in because of how many players they lost to the draft and undrafted free agents, around 15. So they're working with what they have. And so far it is paying off against Wareham here at Lowell Park. As Grady reaches base for a second time, this one as a walk, the second issued by Skeens in this game. Now you have to deal with Carter Trice with a runner in scoring position and 1 out. You know, Skeens is looking for a double play ball. He has not had the best outing thus far. Think about his last start. Went 3 innings pitched, gave up 2 runs and 2 earned. If he goes 3 innings and leaves it at this score line as Trice pops it up, calling off and making the catch is Clark. Skeens wanted the ball, but elected to leave it up for Clark for the second out.
That's a double whammy for Trice. He breaks his bat. I know the NIL is a big deal across college sports, but not here. Replacing wood bats is a very difficult task, and you don't want to break them because that one starts to come out of the team's budget, and if you start running out of bats, it comes out of yours.
And on a college kid's budget at that. So now you have Ryan Ritter. A single and scored the first run of the game for the Kettleers. First pitch runs inside. It's 1-0. And Ritter is now over 300 at this point. 23rd hit. And was driven in by Noah Bridges as well as Eric Brown. 3 straight hits made it 2-0 in the top of the first. And Skeens still looking to get out of the second at a 2-0 scoreline. 1-0. Way off the plate, but you have to remember Jimmy Crooks is back there sliding over and has been a force behind the plate for the Gatemen.
Well, interestingly enough about Ryan Ritter, something about like a week and a half ago, it seemed like he was just barely keeping his head above water around 200. Now above 300, just night and day.
There's a line drive into left field. Is it going to get down? It is foul. So Ritter seeing the ball very well on the inner half of the plate and turning on it. Right there, tough break for the Kettleers. Everybody will have to scamper back to their respective bases.
Talk about draft stock. Ryan Ritter certainly improving his this summer. Hope to have him back in Cotuit next year. I think that's really his expectation. He's liked it up here, but not for the entire season. He has struggled in the early parts of the season, now has come back and said, I'm just going to retool myself. Shortstop spot is mine, and I'm going to hit everything that's around me.
3-1 liner, foul. The count is full in a payoff situation for Paul Skeens. You make a great point. Ryan Ritter has played at the two pinnacle leagues of summer collegiate baseball, played for the Fond du Lac Dock Spiders in the Northwoods League before coming to Cotuit. That was also before he was a Kentucky Wildcat.
Well, more importantly, he's played for two teams that nobody knows what their mascot's name actually means.
You know who we played with on that team? 3-2 fouled away. He also played with Jake Brooks and John Rhodes on that team.
A little bit of instant chemistry right there.
Pretty good company, I would say. One's signed a very lucrative draft contract. One is the best hitter so far for the Kettleers, and one is a Cape League All-Star. So something's brewing in Fond du Lac, I guess. 3-2 pitch. It is off the plate, and the bases are loaded for Eric Brown.
Well, the real question is, if you get bit by a radioactive dock spider, do you get phenomenal baseball powers? Might be a stretch for people that aren't comic book fans, but you have to throw it in there every once in a while.
I thought spiders had an aversion to water. That's usually what I think about a spider is not water. I think it's around, a residential home in between walls. So the bases are loaded for Eric Brown. Had a single and later scored with a stolen base. That was his 25th hit, looking for 26. A few games ago, he hit a triple that cleared the bases in the fourth inning against the Bourne Braves in that blowout victory. First pitch to him, he takes a slider for a strike, 0-1.
85-mile-an-hour slider. You're not really going to see that a ton in the CCBL. Skeens has struggled to find the zone with that pitch, just leaving it off the plate. But he doesn't want to throw anything middle in to Eric Brown where he can get his hands out in front of it.
And he's staying away, but a great pitch there at 92. Brown is quickly behind at 0-2 with 2 outs.
Be interesting to see what his two-strike approach is here. Has the bases loaded, has been so good with runners in scoring position. Trying to make it a multi-hit day, and like we said, 6 RBIs over the last 2 games. Could turn that number into something much bigger here.
And there's the slider that missed. I think Skeens is going with a waste pitch there to get Eric Brown to wave at it. He's too comfortable in the box. That's not a guy that you're going to be able to get out the pitch that isn't in the zone. Now the 1-2. Stayed up. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Number 2 is working the count well against Skeens.
Looks like Skeens is playing a little bit of keep away from Brown here. He doesn't want to give it too much of the plate. He tried the elevated fastball. Brown didn't go for it. He's worked the count back even.
2-2. Just low and away. So another payoff situation for Paul Skeens. He has to throw a strike, or the third run of the game will come in to score. And a much more comfortable situation for Quinn Matthews as he'll enter his 3rd inning of work after this.
On his 3-2 approach, simple. Anything close, you have to swing at it and you have to get a piece of it. But for Skeens, you have to throw something down the middle, and Brown knows this.
3-2, chopped to Jim Jarvis. He'll quickly gather and throw to first. And Eric Brown is unable to beat it out. It'll stay at 2-0 as we head to the 3rd on the Kettleers Digital Network.
Inning number 3 of work for Quinn Matthews, an 8-9-1 due up for the Gatemen, and they need to strike because the Kettleers bats are coming alive. They're putting men on base, but unfortunately they're leaving men on base. Already 5 so far this game as the first pitch misses outside to Jack Brannigan, the man out of the University of Notre Dame.
Well, luckily with the 5 left on the base paths, they have a 2-0 lead, but if they hadn't, that would be problematic because the Kettleers are notorious for leaving players on the base path, especially here at Lowell Park. Had trouble winning here when that's happened.
Kellum Clark ended the top of the second inning with a check swing that was called strike 3. Since then, Wareham really has been struggling. I don't know what the game plan is for Paul Skeens, if they're going to leave him out for a third inning of work, just like they did with Quinn Matthews. But a 2-1 count to Brannigan, who's batting .250, 15 hits. He rolls over. Carter Trice backhands. He will pump and throw to first. It is not in time. Double clutch comes back to haunt number 8 over at the hot corner.
And we were wondering when it was actually going to affect the Kettleers in there. A routine play on the lip of the grass. Backhanded there, double clutched. Then the throw was soft over to Martorella, and that's how the inning starts for the Gatemen. Trice is uncomfortable with that throw being an everyday second baseman at Old Dominion. Needed to make that there instead, bring up the bottom of the order, and then go back to the top with a hard-hitting Tres Gonzalez.
This is where not playing your usual position rears its ugly head. So now the Gatemen have a runner aboard with nobody out here in the top of the third inning. Cade Kern now at the plate, hitting .210 with 17 hits, 2 home runs, and 14 runs batted in. Matthews outside again, 1-0. Wareham as a team is batting .243 coming into today's game, with 141 runs scored with a 3.87 ERA. That is the difference maker for them. Their pitching has been phenomenal this season. Cotuit, .247 as a team with 146 runs scored with a 4.62 ERA as a unit. As time is called behind the plate by Jeff Merzel. These teams have matched up extremely well against one another throughout the season, but the difference maker has been scoring in big innings and big fashion. Kettleers have put up 6 runs or more in at least 2 of the games that have been played, as it's now 2-0 to Cade Kern. Had some pretty unexpected heroes in those games, Chris. When we were calling it on Nesson, Ryan Ritter hit his first career CCBL home run, and that was really the beginning for him getting locked in at the plate.
That was my favorite home run of the season.
2-0. Big swing by Kern, just got a piece of it.
Looks like Quinn Matthews is visibly frustrated there because he thought that maybe Kern was going to punish that fastball away. Just got on top of it. He did leave it over the middle, but Matthews has been smooth sailing, especially from the hump today. Gave up just his second base hit, or not even hit. Yeah, second base hit. Now in the third inning.
2-1, big hole on the right side, the pitch. Kern went up and got it, but fouled it straight back.
And this may be a good sign for the Kettleers and Quinn Matthews. He's one of the frontline starters for this team, and when he shows more passion, it seems like he wants to be more in control. Now, his ERA reflects his performance, considering the 1.58 ERA he possesses already, and that's already dropped down. That calm attitude.
2-2, way out in front, and that's good for strikeout number 3 for Quinn Matthews. Chris, that is absolutely right. When Quinn Matthews is dialed and locked in, he is at his best. The 3 top starters, Brooks, Rogers, and Matthews, it feels weird to say that because of how many great starting pitchers we've had so far this season, are going to come up consecutively in the next 3 days. Now the question is, there are 3 more games after that. Who will fill those roles? Because you want to save your starters for an important playoff game. Top of the order back up with Tres Gonzalez. He grounded out to second his first time up.
I'd like to say that that slider is a great first pitch from Quinn Matthews. He's been able to command it very well, put it in the spot that he needs it to, keep it away from the left-handed hitters. And if he can do that and have the fastball as well, it should be a good day for him.
And there's the slider again. He gets him to pop it up. Carter Trice will make the play this time, and 2 are down in the top of the third inning. So once again, more light contact for Quinn Matthews. But he has to face Jim Jarvis, who we've credited as one of the most patient hitters on this Wareham Gatemen ball club.
Well, not last inning, or last time he came to the plate, I should say. Struck out looking on 3 pitches, which is so uncharacteristic from number 28.
Eric Brown playing on the cut of the outfield grass. See a little bit of a shift on for the lefty. I wonder if that's going to change if he starts choking up on the bat. Maybe they'll go back to their normal positioning. But a 0-1 count is what faces Jim Jarvis. And he finds a hole and gets it out to right field. Rounding second and going into third is Brannigan. There's not going to be a play, and there's runners on the corners with 2 outs in the top of the third.
That seems like a very similar base hit that looked like Noah Bridges. It was past the diving glove of Martorello this time. Brannigan, actually a late jump to second base, still was able to make it over to third. Now with runners on the corners, you have the disadvantage with the left-handed pitcher, now the right-handed hitter in Tommy Troy. They could bring this game closer. The leading run is at the plate.
Well, Troy batting in the third spot for a reason. He can make contact, and if he makes contact, cut down this Cotuit lead to 1, perhaps even less. First pitch is downstairs. What you don't want to do if you're Quinn Matthews, start to load up the bases, because then you turn it over to the cleanup hitter in Jimmy Crooks.
I think they prefer the right-handed hitter here, though, in this situation. Especially Troy entering this game at 292, had a ground out to short. It has put the bat to ball well for the season.
Tried to put the bat to ball there, but just couldn't do it. Changeup hits the outside corner. It's 1-1.
So a new pitch being shown in this third inning. Not a new pitch for Matthews, but in this sequence of events, changeup away is such a dangerous pitch to throw if you don't get it where you need it, but it can also be lethal against right-handed hitters.
1-1 for Matthews. Tried it again, left it too low, so it's a hitter's count at 2-1.
Quinn Matthews yet to get a walk at this point, so has made some adjustments versus this season having 9 walks. Would like to keep number 10 at bay, at least in this inning where Gatemen are threatening.
2-1, runners going. Down in the dirt, and that's going to be a stolen base for Jim Jarvis. So 2 runners in scoring position, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes for Tommy Troy. Pretty similar scenario from what happened just a couple of innings ago with Eric Brown and Ryan Ritter in the first. They, of course, were driven in by Noah Bridges. Hopefully the same result doesn't happen here for the Gatemen. 2-2 from Matthews. Just a bit downstairs. Revved it up on the changeup at 84 miles an hour.
That wasn't a bad pitch. He was just trying to get Tommy Troy to bite. Very patient there to take that pitch. It was risky. Now at 3-2, you could load up the bases, or he has to leave it over the middle.
Payoff pitch. Fouled away, and we'll do it all over again.
That was actually a hanging slider. I don't think Tommy Troy was anticipating that pitch. It was left over the middle, kept up high. When the slider runs in, it almost causes you to jam up your swing from the right side. But there, Troy was just able to get a piece of that pitch. Now we'll see another 3-2.
Kettleers were bailed out on that one. Troy just a bit early on that pitch. If he waited back, could have been trouble for the men in red. 3-2, Cotuit up 2-0. Quinn Matthews trying to get out of this inning. Here's what he goes with. It is lined out to left field. Suggs makes the catch, moving to his left. Had a bad jump, recovered extremely well. It's still 2-0. We'll go to the home half on the Kettleers Digital Network. So the day is done for Paul Skeens. He went 2 innings, gave up 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned, 3 walks, and 1 strikeout. And we knew that that was going to be the case, right? He was going to be the opener in this game, but they turn it over to a very effective reliever in Garrett Schmeltz. Big left-hander. He has tons of break on his curveball. That is his out pitch from the last time we saw him.
And he has been excellent, to say the least, in relief. 2-0 with a 1.8 ERA. 6 games, 0 started, and 15 innings pitched. Has racked up 25 strikeouts, 5 walks, and only 6 hits. But the first person he'll have to face is Noah Bridges.
Noah Bridges is the hero of the day so far. 2 RBI single in the first inning, which scored Eric Brown and Ryan Ritter. That is the separating factor in this game. Cotuit leading 2-0 here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Shows bunt but pulls back. That's where he starts to employ his slap hitting. He trusts his speed. If he can get a pretty one down, he's going to beat it out over at first. As Schmeltz is quickly behind the count, 2-0.
I was able to talk to Bridges before the game started today, and I just asked him about his feeling. You know, he's had ups and downs, but this season so far, entering the game was at 233. He's not a 233 hitter at this level. He's so much more than that, and has provided such a spark offensively first, but even with the glove as a pure right fielder that doesn't even play right field in college. He says, I'm feeling good. I just want to get the bat to the ball a little bit quicker, have a quicker twitch in my hips, and drop that knee like Coach Roberts taught me.
Well, one more ball, and he gets aboard on a 4-pitch walk. But Schmeltz says no siree on that one. Fastball right down the middle. It's 3-1.
It's late action, too. Nice pitch there.
Schmeltz will fire in again. This time Bridges elects to swing, and he fouls it into the Wareham Gatemen dugout. It's 3-2. Bridges provided one of the all-time quotes this year for the Kettleers. I said to him, hey, you're doing really well at the plate. And he said, I'm not doing good enough until I'm batting 1,000. Certainly sets very high expectations for himself. 3-2. Upstairs, and he draws a leadoff walk in the bottom of the 3rd.
Well, he may not reach that batting average of 1,000, but his OPS could get up there with that walk. He's reached base twice now. And I was just about to compliment Schmeltz on his ability to get back in the count, separating a capable reliever into a really good reliever. Down 3-0, then gets 2 strikes, just misses a bit upstairs. Now has to deal with the right-handed hitting Brett Roberts.
And Roberts squares around a bunt. He fouls it straight back on a line drive. It's 0-1 for number 7. As we like to call him, Florida State's newest weapon. He announced his transfer to Tallahassee right before the season began his college career at Tennessee Tech. He's turned the page on that part of his career. He expects to be a breakout player in the ACC for the Seminoles. Once again, shows bunt but pulls back on the breaking ball. That is the big deceptive curveball.
That's 12-6 right there. That's as 12-6 as you can get. Went straight down. Roberts had to pull back. You go back to what he's saying about FSU. He's DHing today because Ritter and Brown are over at short and second base, but he will be a shortstop for the Seminoles when that season comes around.
Squares it around, and he lays down a pretty one. Here comes the throw. It is in time at first. Good play by Clark to come up and grab it. Troy with the coverage on the first base bag. But Brett Roberts does his job. He moves over Noah Bridges into scoring position, and the Kettleers have a chance to extend their lead with Nathan Martorella coming up to the plate.
Brett Roberts, you didn't realize he was a bunt threat. Perfect bunt down the first baseline. Got it down. Kellum Clark, good recovery because he was playing deep. He wasn't playing on the lip of the infield grass. Fires a strike to Tommy Troy for a 3-4 putout.
Martorella popped out to the shortstop his last time up as the first pitch fastball clips the outside corner, making it 0-1. Talk about how patient he is, but again, he'll have runners in scoring position. Hopefully this time he can capitalize, eh, Chris?
It's usually second, third time around that Nathan's able to figure it out.
And an absolutely disgusting curveball once again finds the outside corner. That is a pitch that we have not seen very much this season. With that much break, that much action, just buckling up hitters, and with that release point from the left hand, Nathan Martorella, as a lefty batter, has to struggle to see that ball. 0-2. Went with it again. Nathan Martorella just got a piece.
This time just hung it a little bit. You talk about the late action curveball at 12-6. That one moved more east to west than anything. But the fact that he's able to have that, almost operated as a slurve there, is a very tough pitch to read. Behind 2 strikes, you don't know what he's going to throw next.
0-2. Goes with the fastball, left it high and outside. Martorella gets one back. Schmeltz opened his CCBL career with a game against Cotuit. That was a 5-2 win for the Gatemen. He went 2 innings, gave up 1 run, only 1 was earned, and 1 hit with 4 strikeouts.
That was the only win the Gatemen have had against us this season.
1-2. Once again, fires in a good one just off the end of the bat by Martorella. He's staying alive in this one, just fouling everything off that's close.
That's the type of player you get from Nathan Martorella. Is doesn't get cheap pitches. He's able to work the count, foul it away, cause some pressure on the opposition. He's still behind in the count, but it seems like he's more in control than the pitcher.
1-2. And Martorella shortens up. He lines one out to left field, but it's going to be caught by Diodati for the second out of the inning.
You know, Martorella went the other way. Diodati was able to converge on the ball. I'll take that from Nathan, though. Seeing the ball well against a very talented breaking ball pitcher in Schmeltz. With 2 outs, you get a right-handed hitter coming up next.
These two teams are moving in opposite directions of late. The Kettleers winning their last few. Wareham doing the opposite. Their last game was against Brewster. Brewster picked up their 19th win of the season, winning 5-3 at Spillane at Wareham's home. As the first pitch comes in to Matt Suggs and misses outside. Brewster overcame a 3-run deficit in the 8th inning after scoring 5 in the top of the 8th. That has been Wareham's season in a nutshell. They have not been able to hold on to leads. Hunter Skilperort got the loss. He went 2 innings, gave up 3 hits. No earned runs, no walks, and 3 strikeouts. Wareham had 11 hits and 13 strikeouts. If you strike out that many times, more often than not, you're not going to end up with a W. Suggs looking to contribute here after lining out to left field. 1-1. Schmeltz tried to change up, but it never even had action. It stayed up like a fastball. Maybe a slight break to the outside against the right-handed hitting Suggs, but now it's 2 balls and 1 strike, so a hitter's count. Pitch.
And Suggs has had some struggles at the plate with the Kettleers. You're talking about a guy that this past season was first-team All-CAA at catcher for UNC Wilmington. So the bat is slowly trying to find itself. You think about Matt Donlin and the struggle that he had for the first 3.5, 4 weeks of the season, then he finally figured it out. Maybe the same could be said about Suggs later in this season.
2-2. High fly ball lifted out to left field, but not far enough. Diodati will camp underneath and make the catch. Schultz, after giving up a leadoff walk, does great work to get out of the bottom of the 3rd inning. We'll go to the 4th on the Kettleers Digital Network.
Welcome back to Lowell Park. A lot of action going on in the MLB today, including the 2012-2013 Wareham Gatemen Kyle Schwarber, who was traded from the Washington Nationals to the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox got him with intent on him playing first, which he hasn't played since his time on the Cape, where he also had 8 home runs in 2012. Whether it's as a 2012 CCBL playoff MVP or a 2021 MLB All-Star, the Cape Cod Baseball League is proud to call him alumni. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Lauren. And you talk about all the players in the CCBL that have MLB level talent. Kyle Schwarber, of course, a former member of the Wareham Gatemen. You never know who the next bright star is going to be. And on the trade deadline, you find out who the brightest of the bright are just based on how much money they're going to get, the teams that they're traded to. You always find out a player's value around the trade deadline. Kyle Schwarber is going to be not too far from here making his home games at Fenway.
I was about to say, he'll be able to catch a few more home games at his old stomping grounds at Spillane Field, but Red Sox pick up an interesting player, somebody who probably would have started as a catcher and now may convert over to first base. It's a left fielder DH option as well.
It's now 3-1 to the cleanup man, Jimmy Crooks. I'm sure one thing he won't miss about Spillane is that cement black infield dirt.
Stone dust?
It looks like it's painful to slide into. As Crooks draws a leadoff walk, that is walk number 1 for Quinn Matthews.
And this is where it usually starts to be problematic for Matthews, is when he walks the leadoff runner, he has trouble following up and getting back in it against the 2, 3, 4 hitters. The inning extends. Now he does have a 2-0 lead. The walks are what is going to give him a short leash with Coach Roberts.
Well, maybe a short lease as well. You might turn it over to the bullpen if things start getting hairy here in the 4th inning. We know that Coach Roberts has had a history of pulling his starting pitcher after around 3, maybe 4 innings.
Well, or his relief pitchers, 2 outs and 2 strikes in the 8th inning, up 11 runs.
He works in mysterious ways, right? As that one's off the plate to Cameron James. But with 5 and 6 coming up, Matthews now in back-to-back innings with a leadoff man aboard. What's the approach here as the pitcher? How do you fire in strikes without giving away stuff that they've already seen before?
Well, you start him off with the changeup first and foremost. If that's not working, you do what he did just there. Fastball in the inner half, force light contact, or he's going to take it. See what Matthews has to offer now at a 1-1 count, even back up. Change up, slider action in. You don't want to hang it against a right-handed hitter because he will pull that and send it a long, long way. Especially James already has 2 home runs this season. You don't want to tie up the game.
Once again, Matthews is behind in the count.
And there's always that as well. The change-up that misses away, if you don't find your spot, it's not good as well. But you don't want to keep having to follow up in the count. If you're at 2-1, get another strike. Be even, and then end it early.
2-1 pitch. Breaking ball fouled back. It's 2-2.
So he goes to the slider that ran in there. Cameron James got underneath it, fouled it away, and now the count's back even at 2-2. But if he misses here, then it's a much more uncomfortable situation because then you have the possibility of walking somebody, putting Crooks in scoring position, bringing up Owen Diodati. It was a tough out always for the Kettleers.
2-2. Line drive lifted out to center field. Jace Grady should have an easy enough time with that, and he does for the first out of the 4th.
So there Matthews just trusts his defense. Cameron James extended his arms straight away center field. And an easy enough play for Jace Grady, routine in center.
So we've asked ourselves, what's the shelf life for Quinn Matthews? His longest start of the year was 4 1/3 innings pitched. Now he's through 3 1/3. I think they expect him to go as long as he can. So that fastball hammers the outside corner, 0-1.
Well, especially considering the next 2 games. 2 most crucial games of the season coming down to the wire against the Commodores because they seem like they are the biggest competition for that second place spot. Considering the win percentage and the way that it's going, they have Hyannis tonight. That's anticipated for them to be a win.
Owen Diodati slashes one out to left field. Ranging back and coming back in is Matt Suggs, and he'll make the catch. So 2 flyouts is how Quinn Matthews responds in the top of the 4th inning. But you make a great point, Chris. you don't want to turn this over to your bullpen if you don't have to. The two biggest games of the season coming up, we know how spotty the bullpen has been in recent memory. You've totally revamped it with new guys that have come from schools that, heck, a lot of people don't even know about.
And then one that most people didn't know about just signed an undrafted free agent deal. One of the best pitchers that we've seen in relief across the entire season, Ian Fago.
Congratulations to Ian for signing with the Houston Astros. Miss him dearly as the Kettleers make a push for that second place spot, which they now hold, but it's a question of how long. As he goes the opposite field, Kellum Clark will get aboard with a 2-out single.
So that's another hit given up. Kellum Clark goes the other way, sneaks it past the glove of Ritter. Now you have a runner in scoring position with a right-handed hitter in Brannigan coming up that already has a hit this game. So this is really where the shelf life question comes into play, is if he's not able to get out of this inning, the bases become loaded, and you go to the bottom of the order, and then if it extends to the top of the order, I wouldn't expect him to stay in much longer. But he seemed pretty smooth so far.
Jack Brannigan now up. Change up misses outside 1-0. This is about the time where if the Kettleers were on offense, Alan Gladstone would come out with the have a hit sign. Now my question is, why on the other side of his have a hit sign is there a don't have a hit sign? This would be one of those situations where that could be useful.
I didn't know that Alan had a sign that said don't have a hit on the back of the have a hit, and then he bangs on it too.
No, I don't think he does. I'm just suggesting that maybe he should have a don't have a hit on the other side.
Okay, I lost in translation there, but that would make a lot of sense.
Sometimes twin doesn't translate too well to you, huh?
No, it doesn't.
2 balls, no strikes for Brannigan. Runners on first and second and 2 out. Brannigan, line drive. That's going to get down to left field. Coming around to score is Jimmy Crooks. The throw is off the line, and the Gatemen have cut the lead in half for Cotuit.
And that is the pitch that was going to be beneficial for right-handed hitters. A hanging slider, turned on it, over the head of Trice. You test Suggs at left field, who actually put a great throw toward home. He's had some interesting reads in the ball, but has recovered well. It's 2-1 now, and the inning continues to show itself.
Another right-handed bat up for the Gatemen. He tries throwing behind the runner. But Kellum Clark slides back in safely. Cade Kern already one of the 3 strikeout victims for Quinn Matthews. Gatemen don't want that to happen again for number 11. And he rolls over to Ritter. Play in the hole, flips to second. It's in time. So the Gatemen strand 1, but add 1. Your score 2-1. We'll go to the bottom of the 4th inning. Bottom of the order up for the Kettleers after the Gatemen brought one across in the top of the 4th inning. Matt Donlin be brushed off the plate. It's 1-0 to him. Schmeltz back out for his 2nd inning of work. He did a good job. Opened up his outing with a walk, then retired 3 straight as Donlin fouls one straight back, and it's 1-1 for number 21. Donlin had a single in his first at bat. We haven't been able to say that a lot. He as a hitter has really come into his own over the last 2 or so weeks. Suffered a minor injury just a few games ago. He pops one out to left field. Let's see if that one gets down, and it's a 2-hit game for Matt Donlin.
The tale of 2 different base hits for Matt Donlin. Started off in the 2nd with a liner between 3rd and short. This time just a light little flare that dropped in the Bermuda Triangle in left field. That's how the 4th inning starts for the Kettleers. Donlin is seeing the ball very well right now.
Catcher's eye sometimes comes in handy, and today for number 21 certainly is doing just that. Jace Grady will get his first chance to bat from the right side against the left-handed pitching Garrett Schmeltz. They're leaving the whole right side open. He'll lay down a bunt, but it goes foul.
And this is how we talk about Jace Grady. The contact from the left side has been sublime. He's been able to line it up the middle, draw light contact, not for extra bases. When he bats from the right side, he hits the ball very hard and very far.
You say sublime. What version of sublime? Thinking Santeria?
Well, it is the summertime, Stefan.
As there's a throw over to first. Let's see what Grady does here. I'm curious if Mike Roberts has a tactic that he's comfortable with. Grady certainly plenty of speed. If you can lay down one good enough, but moving Matt Donlin over into scoring position usually is this team's MO. 0-1 to Grady. He'll swing away. Bouncing ball over to third base. On time at second and on time at first. A 5-4-3 double play, and 2 are down for the Kettleers at the bottom of the 4th.
Well, it looks like if we're talking about Santeria, the crystal ball ruled in favor of the Wareham Gatemen here. Nice double play ball, routine play by James, throw over to Troy and then over to first. The Kettleers' offensive inning that started off pretty well with Matt Donlin's leadoff single. Now 2 down for Trice.
Curveball falls in for a strike to Trice. He'd like to get aboard. He's 0 for 2 on the day with a strikeout and a pop out to first base. But he's using a new bat, so let's see if that changes anything up for number 8.
Did he quickly have to get out the Visa card and get it shipped here? Have to have at least 2, right?
Have to go have a conversation with General Manager Bruce Murphy. Hey, can I get a bat? Go to the ops closet. Trice fouls away a fastball, making it 1-2.
Wonder how that works. There's so many trees here that hide Lowell Park. You don't want to cut them down to make bats out of them, but you never know.
Rumor has it that Glenn Ware goes down and chops big oak tree out in center field every single game and shapes bats for the team. Whether that's true or not, I have no idea. 1-2 pitch down in the dirt.
Well, one thing is true. Glenn and his wife Kathy have done such a great job with the interns and also being a host family for all of these players. Cooking plenty of meals, doing all of those things. Been wonderful to us, giving us feedback a lot too.
2-2 and Trice is down on strikes. 1-2-3 inning for Schmeltz. We will go to the 5th on the Kettleers Digital Network.
Top of the 5th inning, Quinn Matthews in his 5th inning of work. And it's an 0-2 count quickly to the top of the order in Tres Gonzalez. Looks like Matthews is trying to get above that season-high total of 4 1/3. One more strike, he would match it against Tres Gonzalez, who's 0 for 2 with a ground out and a pop out to third base. The 0-2 pitch. And he got him on the outside corner. Nice breaking ball, and that's how the 5th inning starts for the Gatemen. And another thing, I'm alongside Jack Sadegan, the voice of the Wareham Gatemen, and a friend of mine at the University of Georgia. We've done this time and time again, just not here in the CCBL. Jack, how are you doing?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. We've done it. We've done this once or twice before.
Yeah, just very, very south of here. As the first pitch comes into Jim Jarvis, the breaking ball is starting to work for Quinn Matthews. This season has been a whirlwind for both of our teams. You just never know what you're going to get, whether it's a win, a loss, and then our first tie came to you guys. How has your experience been so far in the CCBL?
You know, it's been really good so far, and Wareham's an interesting organization, being just slightly off the Cape. Obviously, you get the name Gatemen, the gateway to the Cape. But we get the experience of getting to come on and experience all these different Cape League locations throughout the season. And it's a season that has just flown by. I mean, my goodness, it's gone by so quickly. And just in the last week of the season now. But it's been an up and down season for Wareham, to say the least.
It's 1-2 to Jim Jarvis. He's employing that 2-strike approach, and it stays up. And we've always wondered why he does that at 2 strikes, because it's not just choking up on the bat head, but he gets a lot lower.
Yeah, he does, and he says it just helps him obviously make contact easier, shortens up his swing.
2-2's off the plate. It's 3-2, and Matthews not looking to walk another with 1 out.
But Jarvis has a great 2-strike approach. He said he actually enjoys having 2 strikes. He says, I love 2-strike counts better than I like a 1-0, 2-0 count, which is weird for a hitter.
And back-to-back strikeouts for Quinn Matthews off of the slider away, and he is rolling here in the 5th. That's his 5th strikeout of the outing. And that reminds me of a player that we had for Cotuit. John Rhodes liked to get behind the count as well, and it's an interesting, I guess, mold for 2 different players. And what is it about the SEC? One comes from Kentucky, one comes from Alabama.
Well, and 2 very different players.
Certainly so.
Jarvis does a good job with his 2-strike approach, and he knows what he's good at. He knows he's a good base runner. He knows he's a contact hitter, a guy that can get up and down the baseline and play good defense as well.
1-0 for Tommy Troy. Another one of your favorites as it's bounced over to Ritter. He'll play it on a hop and throw across. And a 1-2-3 inning for Quinn Matthews as we head to the bottom of the 5th on the Kettleers Digital Network. Quinn Matthews goes 5 innings and maybe more, bringing up his offense again, starting with Ryan Ritter, who's reached base twice on a single and a walk. He's also scored a run. It's 2-1 now, and the Kettleers looking to add more insurance for Matthews or whomever comes out of the pen. First pitch from Garrett Schmeltz is inside, and he features that curveball that runs in.
Yeah, Schmeltz, one of our 2 all-star pitchers. I would argue that Major should have been a 3rd all-star for the Gatemen, but he's got a great strikeout combo with the curveball and the changeup. Not a lot of guys in the Cape League, surprisingly, that can throw a really good changeup, and I think Schmeltz is one of the few that does a pretty good job of it. His curveball is his big strikeout pitch as well as the fastball.
2 balls and no strikes. It stays upstairs for Ryan Ritter. And Jack, what have you seen from Ryan Ritter? Now, at the Nesson game, he hit a home run. I was able to call that one. I'm sure you didn't like that one very much, but Ritter's done a great job.
Yeah, he has. He's a great defender. His bat will come along.
And Ritter draws a 4-pitch walk. That's how Schmeltz's 5th inning starts, bringing up Eric Brown Jr.
I think between Ritter and Eric Brown, Cotuit has the most talented middle infield in the Cape League. And they just dazzled last time against Wareham. So good. Eric Brown was playing shortstop or second base, Ritter at shortstop like he is today. But Ryan Ritter is a supreme defender with a bat that will come around as he continues to improve.
And that's what we've talked about a lot as well. I'm glad that we share the same viewpoint, even though our teams are duking it out for second place, is Ryan Ritter basically came out of nowhere.
Well, he did, and interestingly enough, him and Jack Brannigan played on the same travel team. Brannigan DHing for Wareham today, and he said, Ritter was a guy in high school that was a pretty good player, but nowhere near the level he is right now. He burst onto the scene, went to Austin P, got better at a junior college, and now they love him at Kentucky.
And he's elevated his draft stock exponentially, I might as well say.
Oh, absolutely.
Talking to scouts, they are astounded with the development that he's had late in the season. Talk about another guy in Eric Brown, who you have dubbed the Gatemen killer, which I love.
Yes.
Even though it sounds like a corny 1980s serial killer in California. But he has. His 3 home runs this season have all come against Wareham.
Yeah, and he has 7 RBIs against the Gatemen.
1-2, waits on the breaking ball. It trickles foul as the backhand from James moved it out of play.
But when he's been able to uncork some of his power, it is ridiculous how far he can hit the baseball.
Especially pitches that run in. He's not a hitter that's going to ambush the first pitch. He's waiting to find the right one, especially when it's middle in. And that bat goes very quickly around with the unorthodox stance. Even Coach Roberts has to put him into the lineup, even though that stance for him is not usually what he wants to employ with his players. Is more quick torque hips, get around quickly. He's able to time up the ball very well with Kevin Youkilis, Alexi Amarista-esque swing.
Well, another guy we saw come to the Cape before he left for Team USA was Jace Young. He had a very unorthodox swing as well. But if you're able to cork that bat quick enough and move your hands fast enough, then you can almost hold the bat however you want. And Eric Brown's one of those players.
1-2 to Brown. Breaking ball just stayed up. That was a close pitch. And Schmeltz having a little bit of trouble here, putting hitters away in the 5th.
Yeah, doesn't normally. He's had some innings, though, this season where he's walked a batter or two, and it's caught up with him.
2-2 pitch. Grounded over to third. Play to second. Will they get him at first? They will. A 5-4-3 double play. Gets 2 outs for the Gatemen. That's the second time it's happened for Schmeltz.
Yeah, had one last inning. Cameron James is doing a good job over at third base. Normally either DHing for the Gatemen or not in the lineup. He hasn't played a ton of third so far this summer, but he's done a good job tonight, helping turn some double plays.
Slider away starts off Noah Bridges, who's reached twice. A 2 RBI base hit in the first. That's the 2 for the Cotuit Kettleers on the scoreboard, and then a walk. Start off Schmeltz's outing. This time he pops it up. Another opportunity possibly for James in foul ground, and he will camp under it, make the catch for the third out. So a 1-2-3 inning for Schmeltz. We head to the sixth inning with Jack Sadigan on the Cotuit Kettleers digital network. Top of the sixth inning, Chris Carey, Jack Sadigan. Had to double take there. Headset get you a little bit rattly? Just a little too loud, aren't I?
I think ours are a little nicer over in Wareham.
Oh, okay. So it's starting now. You had to give it an inning. Bringing up
The
Jimmy
innings are
Brooks.
going too quick.
Scoreboard, buddy. That's all I'll have to say. 2-1, the lead is in favor of the Kettleers, chasing that second place spot, which we currently command. Out in front is Jimmy Crooks, who's walked and popped out, as well as scored the sole run of the game for Wareham. We'll wait after this pitch. I'll ask you a question that I feel like is pretty softball for you at this point. Cue shot to Matthews, spins, throws to first, and a good 1-3 put out to start the sixth. Obviously, we have 4 Georgia broadcasters represented here in the Cape. It's been a wonderful experience for all of us in a school that isn't like a Newhouse, Syracuse, or Arizona State, finding our representation very well, very slowly, but still this group. What has been your favorite part about being on the Cape as a broadcaster or just in general?
You know, one of the most fun parts about the Cape is kind of getting to see where you stack up against other broadcasters, because you get some of the best broadcasters in the country and get to kind of showcase your skills for 40 games, listen to others, learn things from them, get some camaraderie with the other broadcasters, which we've done when we traveled to away games. But it's been fun to just kind of get in the Cape Cod community. It's something that truly exists. I've been in other summer leagues. It's not the same as it is here in the Cape.
But you did the California Collegiate Summer League.
Yes.
So a long way away from home. You saw Dylan Beavers, who used to play for the Kettleers before going to Team USA. And now you're here on the Cape. And I think the storyline that has been so important for us is the 3-0 comes in. It's a called strike for Cameron James, who's 0 for 2 with a line out and a ground out. Is the Cape seems like it's just this golden jewel. It's this unreachable league to get into, as there's a walk from Quinn Matthews. That's his second of the day with 1 out, bringing up Owen Diodati. But it's just, like I said, this unreachable league. When you're in college and you're not at a big-time school, you think that sometimes you won't be able to make it there. And you never sold yourself short, but it was hard getting to this point.
Well, it's funny because a couple summers ago I really started to get into the summer baseball circuit, and I sat down with Mayan Patel, who since graduated from Georgia. He was one of the first guys that really introduced me to play-by-play and stuff like that at UGA, and I didn't really even know what the summer ball circuit was 2 years ago, and I looked at the Cape Cod League as that would be a dream league for me if I ever was lucky enough to do something in that league, much less play-by-play. Then I would be thrilled. And then another year or two goes by, and I start to get a lot more play-by-play experience and realize it's something that's a possibility, something that I could do. It really is one of those dreams come true and a step along the journey. which is weird to say. You think, oh, it's just a summer baseball league, but a league like Cape Cod is a dream for not only a lot of players but a lot of broadcasters when you start to come up in that summer circuit and cut your chops in play-by-play to get to stack up against some of the best guys in the league from those big schools, the Arizona States of the world, the Syracuse of the world. Fordham is another big one.
And make no mistake, there's plenty of representation from those schools, but this opportunity has, at least I've seen from my eyes, watching you do what you do and lead us at Georgia and build everything that we've built there, is you haven't taken this opportunity for granted. And that's just such a wonderful thing to see, because all of us being here together, it has been an experience like no other.
And there's a lot of pressure when you come from a school like Georgia, because the impressions that we make this summer will determine the futures for a lot of Georgia broadcasters that want to eventually come into the league. When you're a Syracuse guy and you don't necessarily have a great summer, you don't perform in the booth, it's not a big deal because they've got 100 guys who have done it before that have excelled, and they know the Syracuse brand. A school like Georgia, you come in and there's a pressure to perform, because if you don't, that school could be locked out from opportunities in the future.
I certainly agree. And just the factors and the facets of the teams that have been able to get us. Wareham is a wonderful team. All West teams, Wareham,
Right.
Bourne, and Cotuit. Funny enough, as Diodati pops it up, will it stay in play? Trice calling off, heading towards the dugout, and it just goes out of play, staying at 2 balls and 2 strikes for the left fielder out of Alabama. Being able to represent teams from the West and see each other as consistently as we have has been another luxury.
Yeah, it's been really cool, and it was great to get Reeves in the league because he was initially not going to be in the CCBL until a few weeks out from the season. Ended up landing the gig at Bourne, and he's done a fabulous job, as we all knew he would.
Boy, what a job he has done. As the 2-2 pitch comes into Owen Diodati, swing and a miss. The slider gets another Gatemen. That's 6 for Quinn Matthews, with 2 down and a runner on first, bringing up Kellum Clark. But you talk about Reeves, and we haven't had Reeves up in the booth. Don't know if we'll be able to again. But Reeves' ability to come into this situation a couple weeks before the season started, not only broadcast for a team, but broadcast for a number 1 team in the league, and carry his own and be as talented and transitioning into the great broadcaster that we knew he would over time as quickly as he did, has been an incredible thing to watch.
Yeah, he's somebody that I didn't know that well until this past year or so. Honestly, much like you and Steph. A lot of us have gotten to know each other over the last year or so as Reeves, you, and Steph transferred in. I've been at Georgia the whole time. But Reeves has done a great job. He's, in the last year and a half, grown so much as a broadcaster. And I don't know if he's realized how much better he's sounding in the booth as he goes.
I like to call him Captain Positivity or Mr. Agreeable. He will never notice it, but if you tell him, he'll be like, yeah, whoa, awesome, sweet. We've seen that time and time again in Athens. Reeves has done a great job. And really, Steph and I are the only Georgia team, as Clark swings and misses. Donlin throwing down to second base, and Ritter has to snag that one before it sneaks into the outfield. It's 0-1, but a stolen base for Cameron James puts a runner in scoring position for his teammate and Kellum Clark on both the Gatemen and Mississippi State. Continue this more bleeding into the bottom half of the 6th inning. But I just can't believe we're here. It really is truly a magical thing. I mean, I'm not trying to undersell who we are as broadcasters. It's fouled away to make it 0-2.
Describe it as magical, but it's been a lot of fun, and it's definitely one of those dreams you had a couple years out. And I'm not sure. It's funny. I'm not sure you're in Steph's knowledge about the Cape Cod Baseball League in the last year, but certainly something for me that I had pinpointed a few years out as a goal of mine. I didn't necessarily think I would get to it.
Funny how that works, huh? Yeah, no, our knowledge of the Cape League was very minimal. We knew it was a good league. We didn't know that there was broadcasting, and we didn't know that we would be able to get there because of the representation that we talked before. And hopefully, many Georgia SEC broadcasters, even Lauren Kirkley, who's from Clemson, is representing 2 or 3 of those. Joanne Bethay, Taylor Farmer as well. So a lot of people from the Southeast are coming up this way, making waves themselves. As that slider misses off the plate. Good pitch by Matthews, trying to get his 7th strikeout of his outing.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of SEC schools in general, and there aren't a lot of broadcasters that come out of SEC schools, even ACC schools. It's more that Northeast region that's become so big.
1-2. Clark turns on it foul.
And actually the first day that Nick Magus, our other broadcaster from Northwestern, got the job, he called me. And I got on the phone with him and I said, "Hey, what's up, man? How's it going?" He goes, "You don't have a Southern accent?" I was like, not everybody from Georgia has a Southern accent.
Well, our own Lauren Kirkley has a bit of one, but she turns it off so well you can't even notice it. It's like an actress doubling as a sideline reporter as well. I will take this to the grave with me. It is pronounced cement, not cement. 1-2 pitch, grounded over to Eric Brown. And the throw to first is in time. Another successful inning. And Quinn Matthews gets through 6 as we head to the bottom of the 6th inning on the Kettleers Digital Network. Bottom of the 6th inning with Brett Roberts, Nathan Martorella, and Matt Suggs up against Garrett Schmeltz. Quinn Matthews has eclipsed 6 innings, only given up 4 hits with 1 earned run. So lefty up against Brett Roberts, Chris Carey, and Jack Stegan still here in the 6th inning. And Roberts takes a strike on the outside corner, another curveball away, makes it 0-1. This is a tight race so far for the 2nd place spot. This is seemingly a must-win for Wareham, considering the extra game that they've played. Right now, they need to score some runs.
It is a must-win for Wareham, and we've had the same problems all season. It's not getting runners on base for the Gatemen that's tough. They just cannot bring them in.
Beautiful backdoor curveball gets Brett Roberts. That is another strikeout for Garrett Schmeltz, his 2nd of the outing.
But the Gatemen, and through my rough Excel calculations, I figured out the Gatemen need 2 more wins than both Falmouth and Cotuit this week. So, for example, if the Gatemen were to win 4 of these next 6, then Cotuit would need to only win 2, and Falmouth would need to only win 2. Or if we won 5, then Falmouth and Cotuit could only win 3, which is a tough ask.
Hopping back on Excel. Are you ready for football season or what? Bounced over to first. Clark throws over to Schmeltz for the 2nd out.
Yeah, a ton of people ask me, they go, "Is baseball your favorite sport because you're up in the Cape even though you live in Georgia?" And no, it's still football.
I'll have you know, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to tune into the NFHS network or Wherever Jack is calling football games, he truly is a great football broadcaster. He puts me to shame. Really, it's not a pretty sight, and he's had to trudge through the weeds of working with me. As Suggs lines one down the left field line, it is foul. And Suggs has teed up the ball pretty well. A line out and a fly out both to left, putting the bat to ball well, but just...
Has he played a lot of left field this summer?
He's seemingly cemented himself as the everyday left fielder. But no, he's not a typical left fielder.
Right.
He has some strange reads in the ball, but has recovered very well.
he had a couple of interesting ones so far today. And I looked down my scorecard. I said, Suggs, that guy a catcher?
And he's a really good catcher as well. It's fun to watch him behind the plate, but you also have Donlin. Suggs goes up the middle. That'll sneak through for a base hit. Just his third of the CCBL season. And with 2 outs, you bring up Donlin, who already has a pair of hits.
Donlin's another good catcher behind the plate. And he's had a good night at the plate. But got to talk about him a little bit during the Nesson game that we did, just about his defensive skills. That's something that he prides himself in.
First pitch to Donlin is a high fastball for a called strike by Jeff Merzell. And you're absolutely right. The bat is slowly starting to find its way, and at a good time with the playoff push coming. 6 games remain, counting this one. 5 games, of course, once this concludes. Pitch out to Suggs. Jimmy Crooks sails it into the outfield, and Suggs is going to head for third. Gonzalez will not make a throw. The Kettleers have a runner on third base, and we've seen Donlin do that a lot this season. Well, you haven't, but Stefan and I have seen Donlin sail it, propping back up, but Jimmy Crooks usually is very accurate behind the plate.
Almost never, and I think the count is he's thrown out a dozen runners this summer. That's where he's excelled, a rare miss for him. I think he knew Suggs had a pretty decent jump and was just trying to get the throw off quickly.
1-1 to Donlin. Another pretty strike at 88. 1 ball and 2 strikes. If the Kettleers were able to bring this one home, it would be a 2-run lead, and see if they bring out Matthews again for his 7th inning of work, which would be very deep for a Kettleers starter. 1-2. Donlin goes the other way. It sneaks through. A 3-hit night for Matt Donlin, and the RBI comes in. It is 3-1 Cotuit.
That was big against a Gatemen team that struggled to score runs at times this season. And Wareham still does not have a come-from-behind win this entire season.
How about Matt Donlin? I think that's his first 3-hit performance in the CCBL. And his batting average is going to skyrocket, most likely above 200 after this, which would be for the first time this season. You bring up the top of the order in Jace Grady, who has plenty of power from the right side. It's 3-1 Kettleers in a very important time. And you look at the end of this season, considering Wareham, Falmouth, and Cotuit, trying to be as impartial as I can, the team that's stacked up the best against the Bourne Braves has been the Kettleers. They have 2 wins against Bourne, one at Doran Park where they won 2-0 and shut them out for the first time this season, and then won 13-2. 11-run victory, the biggest deficit that Bourne faced all year.
Bourne's on a bit of a slide recently. I don't know what their score is tonight, but they've lost 3 of the last 4.
So now Grady grounded to third base. He'll throw over to second with Tommy Troy, and the side is retired. But Donlin manufactures the 3rd run of the game for Cotuit. It's 3-1. And before we leave, Jack, just want to say it's been an honor and a privilege broadcasting games with you at Georgia, with Stefan and Reeves, and I'm so lucky to share the booth with you this season. And when we get back to Georgia, everybody's so proud of what you've done, and we look forward to everything else that you will do in your broadcasting career.
Still a lot more to come. The 3 of us will broadcast a lot of stuff together, so should be fun. Thanks for having me on.
Yep, Jack. All right, we head to the 7th.
3-1 your score as we enter the 7th inning, and a new pitcher aboard for the Kettleers, Harrison Cohen, who has been by far the most effective reliever for the Kettleers in the entire 2021 CCBL season, I should say.
And one of a couple of stretches he's had against these same Gatemen as well. The last time these two teams played a few weeks ago, in both actually the last two games at Spillane Field, longer relief outings for Cohen. He's got multiple innings, has been absolutely flawless in that time span. He gets another chance to try to shut down the Gatemen today and deliver a huge knockout blow to the team from over the bridge.
Quinn Matthews went 6 innings, gave up 5 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts. Of course, Cohen usually has been in long relief, and this makes me question what Coach Mike Roberts' decision-making is. We saw him in a similar role against Chatham, where the Kettleers had a somewhat sizable lead here at Lowell Park, and it almost fell apart in the 9th inning. So are they going to let him go the next 3, or are they going to turn it over to a potential closer who could be Will Jacobson? We saw him the other night. Excellent work. And 2 guys that started the season as starting pitchers and have now found new life coming out of the pen.
You have to think coming into this situation with the new comfortability that Cohen's developed as a multi-inning reliever, and in addition to that, the success that he's had in the same role against Wareham, right now, given any trouble that could have come, but given the hot stretch that Cohen's been on, this has to be his game.
Cohen will fire into Jack Brannigan, who has a pair of hits on today's game. How about Matt Donlin today? 3 for 3 with an RBI single in the last inning to extend the lead to 2 for the Kettleers, and that came at a good time. Gatemen's bats have been quiet throughout the game. Only 5 hits and not at the right time. 1-0 fastball falls in for a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike to Brannigan.
This is a team that Donlin's found some success against, thinking back to that 2 games at Spillane in 3 days. In that second game on a Wednesday night, it was Donlin that delivered some of the bigger RBIs late in the game to give some extra insurance.
1-1 to Brannigan. Left the slider high, and that's been the problem for 34, is when he leaves that slider upstairs, it's either getting hit a long way or it's just missing the plate completely. But Brannigan looking to find the luck of the Irish, the man out of Notre Dame. 2-1. Fastball softly lifted, foul to the right side. So out off the end of the bat, Brannigan just looking to get aboard and try and get some wheels turning for the Gatemen here in the 7th. Eight, 9, and 1 coming up for Wareham. The number 8 hitter Brannigan now up. Cade Kern on the on-deck circle, and Tres Gonzalez scheduled. So that time he went with the slider downstairs, and it's 3-2.
And that's the location that Harrison Cohen's going to be fine with. We talked about the few days he has struggled with that breaking ball. It's been leaving it up, particularly to right-handers, away where they can extend their arms, leaving it up on the upper half of that outside corner. That's okay burying that pitch there in a 2-2 count.
Looks like time's going to be called. Brannigan going to get some time to think about it, but he's giving Harrison Cohen some time to think about the pitch he goes with. Here it comes. High fly ball lifted out to right center field. Looks like it's going to get down at will. It hits the wall. Brannigan's chugging into second. He's going to make a play for third. Let's see if the throw's going to be in time. It is not. A leadoff triple in the 7th inning for Jack Brannigan.
And a bang-bang play at third, but just looking back before that, a 3-2 pitch, you get a draw by Kern to worth the count. He finds a fastball up in the zone. He elevates with it and finds a gap. So very quickly in the 7th, tie and run comes to the plate for Wareham.
Haven't been able to say this much. Good piece of solid contact is what starts the day for Harrison Cohen. And very, very rarely in relief has he had runners in scoring position with nobody out. Fortunately for him, this is one of those times. Cade Kern coming up to the plate. Check swing, the appeal, there won't be one. Jeff Merzell will take it himself and call it a strike 0-1.
Kern on the day so far, struck out swinging in the third. Grounded out to Ryan Ritter. into a force out at second in the fourth.
Base hit by Donlin last inning, looking bigger and bigger as this one gets underneath the glove of Carter Trice, and a run's going to score. Carter Trice couldn't make the play. The Gatemen cut the lead to 1, and nobody's out for Wareham in the top of the 7th.
Nobody out. You saw Carter Trice start even with the bag at third. Came in on that one. Might have had the play at first to go with it. But trying to keep this game where it was at the time. Went with the, tried to get it on the short hop. A do or die play at the plate. Just couldn't get a corral on it. So Wareham now comes back within 1.
So that run will not be earned by Cohen because of the error by Carter Trice. But Harrison Cohen in an unfamiliar situation. Quickly a run comes across against him, and this is a must-win game for the Kettleers, and more importantly for the Gatemen. Talked about it quite a bit throughout this contest. But the top of the order up with nobody out and a runner on first base. Tres Gonzalez has shown that he can rack up hits, 36 coming into the day's game. See the frustration on Cohen's face after that pitch. Yanked it a little inside. If you manage to put a runner in scoring position, you have the heart of the order coming up. So, Tim, how important is this game against Wareham, a team that you'd expect to beat, knock them out of the question from playoff contention? If you let them hang around, you not only have to worry about Falmouth, but you have to worry about the Gatemen.
And that may be the most important aspect. If you're able to pick up a win, hold on, or at least for this Kettleers offense, try to put a couple more on the board. You knocked Wareham out today.
And it's 3 balls and no strikes.
Bring them down a little bit. Now you're only looking, it's you versus Falmouth this weekend, where that number 2 spot probably comes down to this home and home. A loss today keeps Wareham in it, and it's more to worry about and less of the Kettleers controlling their own destiny.
Big red light situation, and it falls in for a strike. Tres Gonzalez didn't agree. He started making his way towards first base, but Harrison Cohen took a little off and gets a strike call back. Seventh inning dramatics. 3-1. Lined up the middle, and Wareham has another base hit. 2 runners aboard for the Gatemen, and Harrison Cohen is having an unusual day at the office.
Just so far, an unlucky day for Cohen as well. The error that allowed the first run to score, and that one just a blooper up the middle off the end of the bat. You had seen Ritter and Brown start to pinch, but he still finds just enough to push that through the hole. Now a big chance for Wareham to try to take the lead.
Tres Gonzalez jumped all over that one. Good for his 37th hit of the season. Start to see the corner infielders playing in. Want to get the lead runner if it's possible. Possible bunt situation for Jim Jarvis, who has plenty of speed. Looks like he's going to swing away as that slider misses downstairs. Cohen really struggling to find the zone.
And so far, it's been that slider we talked about usually being his momentum pitch. But before you even get to that, you have to be able to command your fastball. He's left it in on these lefties especially. Being able to get that pitch back first will allow him to start to work back.
1-0. Make it 2-0. This is about the time where you get a conversation from Mike Roberts. See him standing right outside the dugout. This next pitch may be a scenario. Looks like there's action in the bullpen. No reason to believe that's a coincidence. And it's 3-0. Harrison Cohen is running the risk of loading up the bases with nobody out as Cotuit holds on to only a 1-run lead. Things have turned into a high-pressure situation for the Kettleers here in the 7th. 3-0. Jarvis shows bunt, pulls back, and he draws a 4-pitch walk. Kettleers have loaded up the bases and still nobody out for Tommy Troy, one of the most dangerous hitters for this Gatemen team. Mike Roberts looks like he's going to have a conversation. And this is a 50-50 question. Do you pull Harrison Cohen with the bases loaded and nobody out to use another arm that you could possibly need tomorrow against Falmouth? Or do you keep him in and have the possibility of losing the lead?
And it's the ultimate question. Again, you and I had a similar conversation on Wednesday about how this bullpen would try to piece it together after Trey Holland had to exit after 2/3 of an inning. The difference was then is they had the off day the following day on Thursday, for now yesterday, to be able to get this bullpen to recoup and rest to get ready for the stretch. There are no off days the rest of the regular season for Cotuit. Bullpen management's going to be huge. And as Mike Roberts takes his stroll back to the third base dugout, he's going to trust Cohen. You have to imagine that they're going to want that length, given that his new role has been exactly that. But it's going to take a lot to work out of a bases loaded, nobody out jam, and we're going to see how Cohen wants to approach that.
So the bases loaded for Harrison Cohen. First pitch, left it just a bit outside. That was a good location, I think.
I think that was the best slider he had threw so far. Did a good job keeping it down. Started right on the edge of the outside half and allowed it to bend off a better take.
Infield in. 1-0. Goes with a changeup to the inside corner. Make it 1-1. Folks, here's how we got here. Jack Brannigan had a leadoff triple to the right center field gap. Cade Kern reached on an error by Carter Trice, which scored Jack Brannigan from third. Then a single from Tres Gonzalez moved Kern over. Then a walk from Jim Jarvis loaded the bases up. So it's 2 balls and 1 strike from Cohen, who has had a very different performance from what we're used to seeing. Not even what we're used to seeing, what we expect to see from number 34. 2-1. Line drive, hooking foul to the left side.
So after a heavy dose of sliders earlier in this at-bat, finds the fastball he likes and just turns a little bit early on it, but a relief pitch for Cohen, and with the count 2-2, infield about even at the grass, see what he wants to do for a pitch selection.
2-2. High fly ball lifted out to left field. Should be plenty of room to score Cade Kern. Here comes the throw, and it will not go home. Wareham ties the game with a sac fly from Tommy Troy, and it's 3-3. Only 1 out and a runner still in scoring position for the men in blue.
And for Wareham, pinpoint execution in that at-bat. If nothing else, still plenty of time this inning to score, but with the base load nobody out, you need to start with 1 to tie the game. And it's a great job by Troy taking advantage of a breaking ball that stayed up, does enough to pull it to left field. We're gonna have a tied ball game with Coach Roberts making his way out to the mound once again.
I think that's going to be the end of the line for Harrison Cohen. He wanted to get that one out. Now with third base open and a force out pretty much anywhere except for home plate, he's going to turn it over to somebody new. We'll find out exactly who that is next on the Kettleers Digital Network. All right, Tim, so let me set the scene for you. Harrison Cohen only made it through a third of an inning, gave up 2 hits, 2 runs, one of which was earned, a walk and no strikeouts. You turn it over to a new reliever in Trevor Kunkel with 2 runners aboard and only 1 out with 4, 5, and 6 coming up. He missed his way outside on the changeup 1-0. How difficult of a task is that to ask of number 39?
Well, very. You're walking right into a tie game. Runner is in scoring position. Go ahead, run. Late in the game, leverage situation. Here's the ball. Get out of it. See what you can do.
It's a right-hander against a left-hander as that one's buried in the dirt. Donlin couldn't find it for a second, but made his way back to the ball. Tim, Trevor Kunkel's looked good so far this year, I think. This is a good spot for him, the man out of George Washington, trying to help out his teammate here, not give up the lead in the 7th.
6 1/3 is yet to give up a run so far in 3 appearances for the Kettleers, including his last one, 3 innings of scoreless ball against the Gatemen on the 25th.
2-0 shot foul to the left side. Those are pretty good numbers in relief. One of the big pickups for the Kettleers over the last 2 weeks or so.
As we mentioned, came into that tie at Wareham on July 25th when 3 innings did not allow a run, surrendering just 2 hits and walk while striking out 2.
Crooks still ahead in the count with a 2-1 incoming from Kunkel. Missed outside. It's 3-1, and again, the Gatemen are punching at the door. They load up the bases. Cameron James would come up. It would be very easy to take the lead. 3-1. Lights him up with a fastball at 93. So gets a strike back. Jimmy Crooks still comfortable, but not as comfortable. 1 more strike left, 1 more ball left. Let's see who wins this battle. (3-2). Struck him out. Trevor Kunkel right at the knees, rings him up on a 92-mile-an-hour fastball, and that is a huge strikeout.
That was a delayed strike third call, too. Waiting. Asking yourself, where did that miss? And then finally, it was called that Kunkel wanted and a big second out for Cotuit.
Cameron James up. Now the infield can take a deep breath and take a step back. It's a pretty slider on the front door. Catches a strike call, making it 0-1. James has not been too great at the plate recently. It's 0 for 2 today. He does have a walk. Kunkel will fire in the 0-1. In on the hands, popped him up. Nathan Martorella will make the play, and the Kettleers are out of it. Gatemen add 2. We are tied, and we'll go to the stretch on the Kettleers Digital Network. Good stretch for the Kettleers. We're in the bottom of the 7th inning. It's 2, 3, and 4 scheduled for Cotuit, and a new pitcher in for the Kettleers. Excuse me, for the Gatemen. It is Elias Saul. He's in relief of Garrett Schmeltz, who went 4 innings, gave up 2 hits. 3 hits, 1 run, 1 earned, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. You know Carter Trice is looking for some damage after a crucial error scored the second run of the game for the Gatemen. It has been touch and feel with him over at third base this season. 1-1. Took a shot at right, but couldn't get it in fair ground. So, Tim, what's the lowdown on Saul?
So this will be relief appearance number 6 for him this season. 7 games, also had a start. He's 0-1 with a 6.30 ERA over 10 innings pitched. Walked 9, allowed 8 hits while striking out 10.
1-2. Fly ball high out to left field. Diodati coming on and making the catch. Will retire Carter Trice for the 4th time. So one would have to think Wareham is pretty content with the position that they're in, forcing the Kettleers to use their third arm. Not letting Harrison Cohen get hot. Of course, we've expected so much out of him. As Ritter shows bunt and fouls it straight back. What a different scenario it was for number 34 today.
Saw Ritter start to stumble out of the box a little bit, but an interesting setup defensively against him. Wareham significantly playing him to pull. Not so much as the usual righty shift. They don't have the right second baseman as far over as usual, but a lot of room up the middle.
As Ritter lines one, fair ball. That gets inside the line. That's going to be trouble. Ryan Ritter is going to round second. He is going to be safe at third, and that one gets away, but fortunately for the Gatemen, Elias Saul was there for the backup. Ryan Ritter, a 1-out triple.
So Ritter goes against the shift. Doesn't matter how much room they're giving him up the middle. He shoots one down the right field line, and those big, long strides lead him into third base. But the most important part of that play, at least for now, the backup from Saul right in position. Otherwise, Ritter may have just given Cotuit a 4-3 lead on the overthrow.
Eric Brown, once again, could be a hero for the Kettleers. Had a single in the first inning and later scored a run, but a couple of ground outs, including a 5-4-3 double play in the 5th inning. Looks like there's going to be a conversation with Saul and the pitching coach about how to approach this at-bat with Eric Brown. Tim, what do you think the conversation is here?
At this point, it's just trying to figure out how you can keep this ball down. At the very least, Brown just trying to lift something to the outfield. Ritter with plenty of speed to score. Just talking pitch selection with 1 out at this point. Seeing how they want to approach the meat of the order coming up, especially given the damage that Eric Brown has done against this team all season long.
The Gatemen killer, as he has been affectionately coined. He's been the everyone killer over the last week or so. But today has not done that to his most successful rival, I should say. He has hit 3 home runs this year, all of which have come against Wareham. But now all he needs is a base hit out to the outfield or a fly ball far enough to score Ryan Ritter. So a piece of contact is what number 2 is looking for with the infield crashing in. First pitch, he shows bunt. It's in fair territory. There's going to be no play at home. And a suicide squeeze works for the Kettleers yet again.
And it's been a theme that the Kettleers have gotten back to this week. 2 squeezes against the Bourne Braves on Tuesday, and we talked about it with Coach Roberts throughout the week. He's a guy that's been coined for small ball his whole career as a big coach. He comes back to the roots over this final stretch for a playoff push in a huge run that the Kettleers are able to push across. An even better job of execution by Eric Brown. Right where you want to put that, right up the first base line. No play at home. The Kettleers take a 4-3 lead here in the 7th.
So the Gatemen tie the game. Cotuit rallies, and it's that 1-2 combo, or should I say that 3-4 combo with Ryan Ritter and Eric Brown. Make that 7 runs batted in over the last 3 games. As he puts a charge into that one, Noah Bridges has gone yard. We knew it was coming at some point, and it happened at a great time.
All these teams that we talked about earlier in the week, small ball being able to push across runs late in the game, and we talked about this on Wednesday. How many balls can you barrel up before you find one and let one drop in? Well, that one dropped in about halfway up the trees. Noah Bridges has been hitting hard contact all week long, and he comes up in a huge spot for the Kettleers to provide insurance.
Noah Bridges, his story continues to astound the Kettleers faithful. 5-3 your score after that solo shot, and a huge response from Cotuit. Line drive the other way, drifting back is Kern, and it is foul just shy of the line.
And again, unfortunately, we don't have the live replay during our live broadcast. We can certainly go watch this later on. As soon as that ball left the bat, you saw Noah Bridges smile back towards the Cotuit dugout. He knew this was gone the second it hit the bat. And just what a shot. There has been no one that has barreled up the baseball more in the CCBL over the past week than Noah Bridges. And that one paid off after a few tough breaks that he's hit the ball hard earlier this week. All led up to that one.
Noah Bridges is box office. He's going to be getting some calls soon as that one's lightly tapped towards shortstop. This is going to be a tough play. Jarvis can't handle it, and Brett Roberts reaches on an infield hit.
See how they want to score that one, but in the time being now, in both halves of the 7th inning, a do-or-die play for a left side of the infielder for one of these teams, whereas Carter Trice just tried to get it on that short hop, couldn't come up with it. Shortstop had the handle there. Jarvis had the handle, and was just on the transfer trying to do too much too quick. Lost the handle when he tried to extend that throwing arm, separate his hands. Now Brett Roberts finds his way on with 2 outs.
For Nathan Martorella with a changeup to the outside corner. That's what starts off number 18, and a huge inning for Cotuit. 2 runs already coming across to score. A triple, a home run, a single, and a suicide squeeze. As Martorella gets underneath one and pops it up. Jarvis will give way to the center fielder Gonzalez, and Wareham is finally out of the inning. We'll go to the 8th, where Wareham will look to try and tie the game and more on the Kettleers Digital Network.
Welcome back to Lowell Park. Top of the 8th, you know what that means. Time for a scoreboard from around the Cape. Another Western matchup going on over at McKeon Park between Hyannis and Falmouth. Falmouth up 4-0, bottom of the 3rd. Bourne back at home facing the Brewster Whitecaps, and they have a small lead heading into the 4th, score 1-0. 2 matchups in the very close Eastern Division. Chatham facing Harwich, the Anglers up 1-0, top of the 2nd. And YD facing Orleans. First pitch is at 7, so it's still early at Eldridge Park. And then, of course, your very own Cotuit Kettleers finding edge over Wareham in the 7th with an Eric Brown RBI and a Noah Bridges home run. They're looking to hold on to that lead over these next 2. Score 5-3 heading into the 8th. Back to you guys.
Thank you so much, Lauren. And that's the game to focus on, of course, the Falmouth game at McKeon Park. where Falmouth leads 4-0. So Cotuit doing their job, but Falmouth not doing the job that the Kettleers want them to do. As it's an 0-2 count from Kunkel to Owen Diodati. Goes with a changeup that misses outside, 1-2. Diodati 1 for 3 on the day. Had a single in the second, but since then he's been silent. Hope to keep it that way here in the top of the 8th. 1-2. He lifts one out towards right center field. Noah Bridges will make the catch. One's down for the Gatemen here in the top of the 8th.
I just want to go back to that Noah Bridges home run. I got to talk to him before the game. I said, "Are you going yard today?" And he said, "Man, I'm going to try to." And he did there. So I was downstairs with Jack Stegan. Well, you and Tim did what you do so well, the broadcast. And Lauren, great hit once again. It's great to see Noah Bridges swing the bat as well as he has since coming to Cotuit.
And there goes a hit for Callum Clark. That's good for his second of the evening. In on the hands, pushed it out to center field. The Gatemen have a runner aboard with only one out. So the tying run comes to the plate in Jack Brannigan, who has been scalding hot at the plate. 2 singles, an RBI, and a triple in the 7th that started off that big 2-run rally to tie the game at 3 apiece. Of course, the Kettleers had an answer for that in the bottom half of the inning. But this is not the guy you want to face right now. Jack Brannigan swinging a hot bat. First pitch to Brannigan. Slider misses inside.
Nice front door slider there from Kunkel. Just missed his spot a bit. And the real question mark is going to be if the Kettleers relief can keep this a 2-run lead. If so, it will be probably the biggest win of the season. Because they need this one badly, especially with Falmouth beating Hyannis right now and going into those 2 big games. The 2 biggest games of the season without a doubt against the Commodores.
Well, they would have fallen behind a second if the game stayed the way that it was after the top of the 7th. Now they're hoping that Wareham cannot tie the game. Brannigan certainly has warning track power. As the 2-0 comes in, gets the call. It's 2-1. Fires a 90-mile-an-hour fastball and evens it up at 2-2. So Kunkel looking comfortable. So now it's 6-0. Falmouth leading Hyannis. Only the bottom of the 3rd, though. Plenty of time for the Harbor Hawks. 2-2. Slider left downstairs. You don't want to walk this guy. Then have Cade Kern be the only thing separating the Kettleers from the top of the order coming up. "3-2 pitch. Missed downstairs, and he walked him.
So he did what you said he shouldn't do, and the walk there on the inside. Good spot, just not good enough to get the call by Merzel behind the plate. Now you bring up Cade Kern, a hard-hitting right-hander. He's the leading run at the plate if he could put one over the wall.
A relief corps that has had its difficulties at times. Of course, 7th inning was another example of that. Hopefully it does not continue in the 8th. Kunkel can get out of this jam by getting a ground ball in the infield. Kunkel really worried about Callum Clark over at second base, and for good reason. 2 runs is somewhat comfortable, but in a game as important as this, not comfortable enough. Pretty front door slider gets the call, 0-1. You don't think there's any possibility that Callum Clark tries to steal, or maybe a double steal. Hoping that a pitch gets away for sure.
Against Donlin, it's hard to say that they would do that.
And another slider that gets the outside corner.
Especially the way that Kunkel's pitching right now, just bearing down, throwing 2 straight sliders, perfectly executed. If they were to go, it would be a hit-and-run opportunity and try to shoot it the other way between Brown and Martorella.
That's the pitch that would get away, but Kunkel fired it in. Lifted out towards right field. Noah Bridges giving chase. He dives, and it's a fair ball. Kellum Clark's coming around third. There's going to be a throw. It is not in time. Oh, my goodness.
That might be the longest single we see all season long in the CCBL. And you have to give credit to Noah Bridges there. He was way off the line, still tracking it down, going, almost making a spectacular catch. But instead, a run does come in to score off of a single. Brannigan stays, or moves to second base, I should say. Doesn't head to third. And Clark lucky to break all the way home.
So now the top of the order is up for Wareham, and an inning that started with such promise, a fly out to right field. Things have started to devolve for the Kettleers. First pitch, change up misses, 1-0. Mike Roberts is going to have a conversation, a little bit more than a conversation. He's going to go to the bullpen. Kettleers are going to turn to their fourth arm. We'll find out who it is after this. Well, if the Guinness Book of World Records could come out and pick the Kettleers for anything, it probably wouldn't be the most home runs in a season, but what it might be is most pitching changes in the middle of a count. Zach Fruit comes in relief of Trevor Kunkel, and another tough situation, a 1-0 count to Tres Gonzalez.
And you're bringing in a right-handed pitcher against Tres Gonzalez. That's the biggest thing so far to see that. Gonzalez has been nothing short of incredible for the Gatemen this season. And with Fruit, numbers speak for itself. He's 2-0 with a 3.72 ERA. In 9 games, he's only started 1, has had 1 save, has been much better in relief. That's where he's used to being. 9 2/3 innings, 11 strikeouts, 7 walks. They're going to utilize a lot of Fruit if they make it to the playoffs.
2-0. 91 paints the black. 2-1. Fruit gets a strike call, but that one looked almost identical to the pitch that he started him off with. But, of course, our vantage point just a little different than the home plate umpires. I'd say he has a better view of it. 2-1. Misses off the plate. So it's 3-1.
And you certainly don't want to walk Tres Gonzalez to load up the bases for the very calculated Jim Jarvis. And the walks are really what is going to cause problems. Coach Roberts might make a decision immediately after this hitter if Fruit is going to walk him.
3-1. And it's spoiled to the left side. So make it 3-2. So I was going to ask what the approach was there on 3-1. Obviously, it was a swing. Fruit managed to find the zone, left the pitch pretty enough that Tres Gonzalez had to foul it away. Here, you pretty much need a strikeout, because if you don't, Wareham has a good chance of tying the game.
At 3-2, it's typical. Nobody's in the favor. But right now, Zach Fruit's in an uncomfortable situation. He was behind the count when he came in at 1-0. Now a 3-2 count. Doesn't want to load up the bases for the number 2 hitter in Jim Jarvis.
3-2. Shot to the left side. This may be enough. Coming around and scoring is Jack Brannigan. Wareham ties the game, and the Kettleers, once again, going to have to put something together in the bottom half of this inning and hope that Wareham does not take a lead here with Falmouth big over Hyannis right now.
Well, you give up a pitch over the middle. Tres Gonzalez doesn't miss it. It's only his 11th RBI in the season, second single today. And that was a close play. Suggs revved it up, tried to rear back and make a throw home, but Donlin smartly cut it off to keep Cade Kern at second base.
That run will go to Trevor Kunkel. Still has a runner on second that he would inherit. As Fruit fires in a fastball in the inside corner. Didn't look like that's where Donlin was set up, but it worked out for the Kettleers with Jim Jarvis at the plate. He's 1 for 3 with a walk and a single in the third. Jarvis, you don't want to let him get ahead in the count. 1-1. Jarvis, soft fly ball out to left field. It is just foul of the line. So almost a similar situation to that long single by Cade Kern out to right field. Found its way into no man's land. Kettleers lucky that it didn't get into fair ground because nobody was making that play. And now we'll see Jarvis employ that unique tactic of choking up on the bat 3 or 4 inches. He has struck out looking twice, which is very uncharacteristic of him. Let's make it 3. Zach Fruit, the pitch. I thought that was the one. Missed downstairs.
Good pitch there. Change up low and away. Jim Jarvis just patient enough to stay back. Remember, he's employing his 2-strike approach. Low center of gravity, much lower stance, crouched down, just trying to draw contact to the ball.
2-2, foul tipped into the glove of Donlin, and Zach Fruit gets his first strikeout.
First strikeout here, 12th on the season. Goes to a pitch away. Jim Jarvis just couldn't get to it. So now you have the right-handed Tommy Troy coming up. Base hit would give the Gatemen the lead most likely with the speedy Cade Kern at second base. Zach Fruit trying to get out of the jam with a tie ball game.
Tommy Troy 0 for 3. He did have a sacrifice fly Scored a run his last time up. Wants to get another RBI here and give the Gatemen the lead. Another thing to consider, I didn't think we'd have to say it with games starting at 4:30, but it's getting dark here at Lowell Park. 1-0. Fastball outside. And part of me questions if there are going to be more bullpen visits, more mound visits to try and slow down some time.
At a tie ball game, what does it do us with Falmouth leading? That's the real question. Is you have to be monitoring what Falmouth is doing to start employing that game plan that many other opposing coaches hate.
3 balls, no strikes to Tommy Troy. You have to think this is a huge red light situation. No swing coming from 4. If I was a betting man, I'd put the house on it.
I don't know. If it's right down the middle and you have a big gap between second and first, I wouldn't be surprised if he decided to swing here. Now, I would personally think a 3-0 take would be here to load up the bases for Jimmy Crooks, setting up the righty-lefty matchup, and the disadvantage for Fruit. You just never know with this Gatemen team.
3-0. And you were right. He went for it. Fastball left over the middle of the plate just to the outside. Troy fouled it back, and that was close. That was 50-50 on what that was going to be called. But you don't want to walk Troy here to give way for the cleanup hitter, Jimmy Crooks, the left-handed cleanup hitter, Jimmy Crooks.
Looks like it could be green light here.
3-1. And it was. Similar pitch, same result. Fouled to the right side.
Completely different situation here for Zach Fruit. He gets himself back into the count, runs it full, and could get out of it here with just 1 run, well, against Kunkel. 2 runs against Kunkel, really. But 1 run that he allowed to cross the base paths off of a base hit from Tres Gonzalez.
Wareham's runners are going to get a head start with a 3-2 count. The pitch. Swing and a miss. Left a slider upstairs. Tommy Troy swung at ball 4. It's a tie ball game. We'll see what the Kettleers bats can do in the bottom of the 8th on the Kettleers Digital Network. So Zach Fruit did good work for the Kettleers, but the game is tied at 5-5. Elias Saul back out for another inning of work. Had a tough 7th against the Kettleers. Solo home run, a triple, and 2 runs scored to make the game 5-3. Wareham answered in the top of the 8th. The first pitch into Matt Suggs is lifted. Clark will make the catch just shy of the railing. One's down for the Kettleers. I was just about to say, typically this is the part of the order you'd want to face, but not today.
Well, not this guy at the plate. Nobody's been hotter in this game. Maybe Ryan Ritter and Noah Bridges give him a run for his money, but 3 straight singles for Matt Donlin. Has not come in to score, but has provided his offensive mark on this game and is seeing the ball really well offensively. I can't say that enough. So with 1 out, see what he can do.
Had an RBI single his last time up in the 6th. Found a hole on the right side. Still giving it to him, though. They're really appreciating the pull power at number 21. He's 3 for 3 on the day with 3 singles. 1-1 from Saul. Donlin fouls it back. Important to keep an eye on the light and the Falmouth-Commodore game. Those are the two things that are most important for the Kettleers right now. 1-2. And it hits Donlin. Looked like it hit him on the hand. Oh, that's painful. He's crouched.
Yeah, that doesn't feel good.
Matt Donlin is going to reach base for the 4th time today, but he's going to be inspected by the trainer for the Kettleers. He says he's okay. Good for number 21. So the Kettleers put the leading run aboard. And the top of the order's coming up. Elias Saul has had his struggles. A great day at the plate so far for Matt Donlin. He may get another at-bat, but it looks like he's going to have a pinch runner come in for him. I think that's Eldridge Figueroa.
I think so too.
So this becomes a question. Now that Matt Donlin's subbed out, who's going to be the new catcher?
What does that mean for possible base runners for the Gatemen in the 9th inning?
And what does it mean for the pitch calling next inning? So they are gambling on this run being the run that separates the two.
Likelihood is that it will be a switch with Figueroa in left field to take place of Suggs. Suggs will come in to catch. That would be my guess. It's not just a pinch run. This will be a substitution for Figueroa to bat in place of Donlin if they get through the order that quickly in the 9th, and then bring Suggs behind the plate to shore up the defense.
Well, the only thing that kind of points me away from that analysis, Chris, is just a few short games ago. But Don Snedden is having a word with the home plate umpire. I think he thinks that hit the knob of the bat, but it clearly did not. Matt Donlin came up wincing, but just a few games ago, Matt Donlin went down. And the option was, are we going to pull Suggs from left, or are we going to turn to Raul Ortega? Well, turn to Raul Ortega. But Raul Ortega is the bullpen catcher. But another thing is that you won't need him because it'll be the 9th inning. So a lot of pieces will come into this decision. I'm intrigued to find out how it goes, as the first pitch will come into Jace Grady. And it misses high and outside. One-0. Grady, line drive through. That's a single. And Eldridge Figueroa is going to round second. He's going to try for third. The throw is late.
Professional hitting from Jace Grady. We've said it time and time again. Goes the other way on the shift. Ground ball through the middle. And Eldridge Figueroa takes third base. Huge moment for the Kettleers.
So they're sticking with their guy on the mound. Elias Saul will come and face Carter Trice. He pops up a bunt. Let's see if a play can be made. Diving attempt, but it's going to get down right in front of Crooks. Kettleers dodged a bullet on that one, as they're trying the suicide squeeze tactic yet again, because there is a tag play at home. It's worked already once in today's game with Eric Brown. We've seen it with Carter Trice a number of games where he's tried to employ it.
I wouldn't be surprised if they try to test Jimmy Crooks behind the plate with Jace Grady stealing second base. If he shows bunt again, the infield will draw in. That gives a perfect opportunity for Grady to take second base.
So there's a throw over to first with Figueroa standing on third. You have to be careful with the runner over there. Don't want to let one get away. Carter Trice has an 0-1 count. The leading run stands 90 feet away in the form of Eldridge Figueroa. 0-1 pitch. He shows bunt again. He gets it down. Let's see what they do. The play at the plate is late. Eldridge Figueroa scores. The suicide squeeze didn't work as a suicide. The run comes across. It's 6-5. Everybody's safe, and the Kettleers have taken the lead in the bottom of the 8th inning.
I am shocked they were able to do that again. Wareham knew it was coming. A perfect bunt laid down by Carter Trice in a day that he went 0 for 4 before this with a pair of strikeouts right down the first base side. Kettleers get a run back and take the lead in dramatic fashion here in the bottom of the 8th inning. And looks like Don Snedden's going to have a conversation with the umpire, and he's wondering what the call was because he believes Eldridge Figueroa was tagged out by Jimmy Crooks, but it seemed from our vantage point that Figueroa got under the tag.
So the third run comes in under Elias Saul's watch. Kettleers get the run they needed, and it's getting dark. Only one out here for Ryan Ritter. The pitch. High slider, clips the zone. It's 0-2. 0-1, excuse me. Scoreboard had it wrong. One. Ritter shows bunt. Crooks keeps it from going to the backstop and effectively will force Ryan Ritter to show bunt again. He's had a good day at the plate. 2 for 2 with a pair of walks, a single, and a triple in the 7th.
As well as a pair of runs scored. Can't forget about those two big ones for the Kettleers, especially in the 7th inning.
1-1 fastball misses low and away. Ritter could break this game open with one swing of the bat. Two one. Low and outside, and Wareham is struggling in the bottom of the 8th. 3-1. This is going to be a huge green light. Up by 1. Hottest hitter on the team at the plate. The pitch. And it misses, and the bases are loaded.
Loaded for EBJ coming up, who laid down a perfect sacrifice bunt as well for an RBI in the 7th inning. That scored Ryan Ritter. And they're going to go to the bullpen here, Stefan. Feel like they have to at this point.
Well, the bases are loaded with one out. We'll find out who's coming in for the Gatemen after this. So in a season where the Kettleers have put their relievers in uncomfortable positions, Wareham has done that and more. Bases loaded, Kettleers up by 1, and the hottest hitter with runners in scoring position at the plate. Big curveball falls in for a strike, 0-1. Eric Brown, 7 runs batted in over the last 3 games. With one swing of the bat, he could make that a double-digit number.
Christopher Barraza on in place of Saul. He has a tough position here.
Brown took a hack at that one, just got a piece. He was swinging for the fences, and rightfully so.
How crazy would that be? I mean, the light's continuing to fall. Luckily for the Kettleers, they have the lead going into the 9th, so they might only need a half inning, a few more insurance runs.
In all likelihood, Wareham is going to want to finish this game.
They've been good at responding. I mean, I don't blame them in that situation.
0-2 pitch. And it hits him. Eric Brown gets hit by a pitch, and the Kettleers extend their lead to 2. This game has had everything, folks, and I mean everything.
This is unbelievable. Now who do you load up the bases for? The man that hit a solo home run his last time up in the last inning. Deep shot to right field that left quickly against a right-handed pitcher in Saul. This is exactly the person you want at the plate with the bases loaded. You're up 2 now. It's a much more comfortable position for Fruit or whomever comes out of the bullpen.
As the first pitch to Bridges misses outside. Don't want to leave anything in Noah Bridges' wheelhouse. Kettleers have responded to everything. 1-0 pitch. Bridges, swing and miss, 1-1.
This has been a fun game, Stefan. Back and forth, these two teams battling at it. You could see, you didn't know what shades of these teams were going to show up. If they were depleted, they came off of a rest day. Both these teams have competed very hard because they know how much this number 2 spot means to the CCBL and the West.
1-1, bounced in the dirt. It gets away from Crooks. Coming in and scoring is Carter Trice.
Unbelievable. Wild pitch scores him, so that won't go against Saul, most likely. Not sure how that'll be scored. But now you move Brown and Ritter, second and third. It's 8-5 now, so a much more comfortable situation for the Kettleers.
Bridges has runners on second and third with a hitter's count. Let's see what Barraza gives him. Pops this one foul to the left side. So Cotuit has broken this game open. Scores now 8-5. Chris, I was going to say, we have not played very many games like this season.
Absolutely not. This is not the either we get out in front and we end up winning outright. It's not the gritty back and forth that we've seen. Or we lose by a lot.
Two. High fly ball lifted out to center field. That's going to be able to score the 9th run of the game. Gonzalez makes the catch. The throw to third is not on time. A 4 RBI day for Noah Bridges.
An unbelievable day at the office for Noah Bridges. It really will be a 2-for-3 day when it's all said and done for if it stays at this scoreline, considering the walk and the sacrifice fly not going against him. 4 RBIs. It's good for 10 on the season. He's got double digits today.
As Brett Roberts pops this one up. Clark's trying to find it. He runs out of room on the right side.
That's Brett Roberts swinging at the first pitch. Just got underneath it, popped it up, got out of play foul.
As one goes low and outside for Roberts. 4-run lead for Cotuit. 3 of which have come across in this inning alone. 1-1. Roberts, line drive, base hit! Eric Brown will score the 10th run of the game, and Brett Roberts doubles the Cotuit lead.
Back-to-back singles in as many innings for Brett Roberts. Goes the other way with it. Line shot over Tommy Troy, and the scoring affair just continues for Cotuit in the 8th inning. Doesn't get much worse than that for the tandem of Saul and Barraza.
Now Nathan Martorella will get a chance to hack away. And with each swing, Kettleers are taking away more daylight and not giving the Gatemen a chance. It has blown up for Wareham in the last 2 innings. With Martorella, the Kettleers have batted the entire way through the order. Swing and a drive. Belted out to right field. It is gone! Nathan Martorella with a 2-run homer. That's his first of the season, folks. Batting practice is paying off.
This inning may go down as a season changer for the Cotuit Kettleers. Nathan Martorella goes deep to right field. There was no doubt about it. Kern just had to turn and watch it go. This Kettleers team has blown it open.
Matt Suggs back up to the plate for the 2nd time in the bottom of the 8th inning. My goodness. The Kettleers have put together something special here at Lowell Park. This is a team with so much resolve. As Suggs swings and misses, a whole new life starting to come together for the men in red, usually the men in maroon.
And this is the right time. It makes me so happy to see this team starting to come together at the time that they need to. 2 games next against Falmouth. A big win possibly against a very tough Wareham team.
As Suggs swings and misses, and he's down on strikes. As a broadcaster, when a team gets that big of a lead, sometimes you just have to be excited when they go all the way through the order. So that's going to end the inning. We'll go to the 9th on the Kettleers Digital Network.
Well, folks, we won't see a 9th inning at Lowell Park. The game is over after a 7-run bottom of the 8th inning for the Kettleers. They kept the 5-5 scoreline and then blew it open with a bunch of hits and so much. A season-changing win for Cotuit as they head to Falmouth tomorrow to play the Commodores. From our entire crew, Jack Roberts, Owen Zides, Lauren Kirkley, and Tim Crowley, Stephen Carey, I am Chris Carey, wishing you a wonderful night. Happy Kettleers win, and we'll see you tomorrow on MixLR and the Kettleers Radio Network, where we play the biggest game of the season against the Falmouth Commodores. Hope to see you there.